What's up, you filthy casuals? Welcome to the Casual Shenanigans Gaming Podcast. As usual, and following with tradition, we start late. I'm very sorry, it's my fault this time, and I've just realized that I don't have the title set right in the stream, so screw all that. Dave, why don't you take us through the intro?
Welcome to the podcast, you filthy casuals. This is a podcast all about everything PC gaming, occasionally consoles, and especially this week, all about our love for Geralt of Rivia. That's actually this whole podcast is just us making that noise over and over again. Witcher 3.
Just tons of sexual sounds.
Tons?
Jeremiah,
there's going to be tons.
It's The Witcher. Come on, get on board. Get on board that hype train.
This might as well be the mid-May happy cast. We'll just put it that way. But yeah, we are pretty much just talking about The Witcher tonight. Because I didn't add any other news in, and also because we want to talk about The Witcher. You know, we've talked about it a bunch before it came out. Last week, we didn't talk much about it because we had our awesome guests, the Dollarwise Gamers, on. We had a really great time with them. But now, it is time to give The Witcher its due, and we are definitely going to be testing The Witcher 3 on the potato masher. Well, the testing has already happened. I'm not going to pretend like we're doing that live.
You're recording on the console right now, editing footage, rendering.
But we will be looking at it soon. Unfortunately, it will not be going live on YouTube for at least the next 12 hours or so because YouTube is not accepting uploads from me at this moment. So as soon as we get that worked out, the video will be live on YouTube where everyone can see it. But if you are watching the stream tonight, you will be able to see it live. I can't remember if Dave said this because I was editing my stream stuff. I am one of your hosts, Jeremiah, and I'm joined by Joel and Dave.
Hey, guys.
And Joel has nothing to sell you this week. But we'll start the podcast like we always do with a plug for things that Joel was selling you last week. The Nebula from Hell, Joel's board game. The Kickstarter ends May 30th. That's right. That's 2 days from when we're live right now. It's like you don't even have a chance to get in there and pledge money.
Wait, Jeremiah, do we still have a chance? Can I still buy a copy of the Nebula from Hell for myself? Do I still have time?
I think I could. I think you could if you wanted to.
Is it too late?
If you really wanted to, you could probably do that. But there's no point in buying it. Because if you go on the Steam Workshop, you can try the Nebula from Hell for free as a mod for Tabletop Simulator.
Nice.
Joel has put a lot of work into converting it to run on Tabletop Simulator, so you have to buy Tabletop Simulator like we're going to for a special event, which we're about to announce. But you can try the Nebula from Hell out on there. Now, obviously, it's way more fun if you have the physical board game and you play with your friends and family and stuff. Like, that's a game that definitely should be played with other people live.
With tons of booze.
And with alcohol.
But if you want to try it out, you can definitely load up Tabletop Simulator and search for the Nebula from Hell. Now, Joel, what's your Kickstarter up to?
It's at 15...
Dang.
1,500.
Why do you keep asking for money? Everyone's already giving you money, man.
I'm not asking for more. I'm just saying it's gonna end soon. We don't need any more.
So money. I'm just saying. There's an opportunity
anymore. Just stop it, Ben.
There's an opportunity available if you wanted to give more money. You don't have to. I'm not asking anyone to. I'm just saying opportunities are out there.
Well, isn't the cool part, Joel,
that there's I think 23 random people that have bought the game that are going to be playing it. Like, their families are going to be crushed. They're like, gather the kids around. We're going to play this game. And it's like, wait, what? Wait, what? Why am I back at start? Why did I lose all my cards? Why do I hate everyone?
Joel, you're going to divide families.
The game can only help you answer some of those questions. The hatred in your heart is up to you. But
now, Joel, isn't the neat thing, though, that like the game is designed. It's developed, designed, it's ready to go.
Intelligently designed, you might say.
Well, let's not go too far here. It's designed.
Joel is not a loving God.
Well, that's true. So, like, the game is going out pretty fast, right?
So as soon as I get that cash, I'm basically just gonna straight send it off to Game Crafter, and we'll get it rolling. So it'll be shipping off soon. So I think it takes about 2 weeks, like after the Kickstarter ends, for money to go through and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then so I'd say between 3 to 4 weeks you'll have the game.
Cool. And then, speaking of 3 to 4 weeks, episode 100 is coming up.
Nice segue. 10 out of 10.
June 18th. We need to stop announcing the segues and they'll feel more natural.
I feel like that one needed the extra appreciation. That was
Thank you, Dave.
was clever until I interrupted.
June 18th is episode 100. And I know it's probably going to be a really great show because in the notes for the show, Joel has a lot of things listed like surprise video, super secret surprise video. That's all the information he's given me. And then special moment, Joel's secret special thing plan.
Special moment? Joel, is this a special moment with your special place? Is that related?
You'll have to watch.
That's not a no.
But we're going to have a trivia game. We're going to have a challenge. We're going to have lots of cool opportunities for you to win prizes. We actually had someone write in just today. I'm going to reply to them. I won't read their name on air. We'll talk about them when they actually get there. But they want to donate a Steam gift card to be given away for the 100th episode. We've had several people say they want to donate games to be given away. I would have some games to give away. Except that after my graphics card snafu, I sold all those game codes to help offset the cost of Newegg's crappy customer support. And I don't have any of those anymore. But I've got some other game codes sitting around from previous Steam sales, and we should have at least a decent amount of stuff to give away. I think we actually have more things to give away than we have opportunities to give it away at the moment. So we need to work on that. But
is this a bonus summer loot cast? Is this what I'm hearing?
It might be.
Man.
But the day before June 18th, we are going to be playing Tabletop Simulator with the guys from the Dollarwise Gamers. And we don't know exactly what time it is yet, or maybe they already told me and I forgot as I'm saying this live, but I'm pretty sure we didn't have an exact time picked yet, but it will be June 17th. That's a Wednesday evening. We are going to be playing on Tabletop Simulator, and we will be hosting this on all our Twitch channels, everything like that, but it's just going to be a fun evening of us hanging out, boozing, playing board games over the internet.
Now, is this something for just people to watch, or is this people to join in?
This is something for people to watch.
Okay. It almost sounds like, because I was just wondering, because I don't know how many people can play in the Tabletop Simulator.
No, there is a limit, because it depends on what the board game, like how many people the board game can have. So, but if this goes well, and we learn how to use Tabletop Simulator, I'm thinking some community Nebula from Hell nights.
Oh, yeah.
Cards Against Humanity
Once I can
nights.
figure out how to add more cards to have a bunch. Yeah, I think we can sport, at least 12, I think?
Sweet.
8 to 12, so.
Nice.
And
yeah.
maybe we should play Risk sometime on Tabletop Simulator. I don't know if it's on there, but...
so we're going to end friendships.
I have a feeling Dave and I will be left at the end in the ashes. Once there's like a hurricane in our area, we're going to go ahead and just derail early on, we'll start the podcast as we always do with an irrelevant tangent. There was a bad storm a couple years ago, and my wife and I ended up spending the night at my family's house because they had a generator and everything else, and we figured, we live in the city, we probably won't lose power, but we'll go be with family that might need help cleaning up, stuff like that. We went and spent the night at their house, and the power went out. So by candlelight, we were playing, because they have a generator, but my dad doesn't want to run it unless we really need it. And it was only like August, and the power was out, but no one was dying. So we were playing by candlelight, and we decided to play Risk. And that was the first time I'd ever played like a board game like that with my wife. But my family... Her family's like real nice. Everyone gets along.
Oh, yeah.
There aren't that many kids. People are respectful. They take turns talking. It's real boring. My family, there's 6 kids. And then now there's grandkids and nieces and nephews and stuff. And, competition's a big thing. Like, we don't have leftovers at dinner. It's kind of a dog-eat-dog world. Your feelings don't matter.
So board games are kind of like those COD tournament videos that you see where everyone's just like screeching at each other over the table.
Well, we have a great time doing it though, but my wife, I think she decided she's never going near a Risk board in the same room with me ever again, because she was just like, I just don't get what's wrong with your family. Like, there's something wrong, because we were just lying to each other and making side deals, and then just like spitefully steamrolling countries just because. I love Risk. I think that's where I was going with that. But yeah, a Risk night on Tabletop Simulator.
All I've learned from that story is that I need to come play Risk with your family.
The funnest 4 hours ever.
Yes. I am on board with all of this.
Dave, have you played Lord of the Rings Risk?
Not yet.
It's pretty good. But yeah, so stay tuned for Tabletop Simulator night. And then the last thing about episode 100, I'll be announcing this for the next couple weeks just to get everyone up to speed. We've done call-in shows before where we had people write in with their phone numbers or their Skype names and we called them.
Right.
That did create some logistical problems doing it live. If we were weren't doing it live, it would be a lot easier. But since we are doing it live, like, it's a little bit of a problem. I haven't decided if we're going to do that yet. But what we definitely are going to do, even if we do Skype calling, we will also have this method available. If you have Teamspeak or if you have a microphone, you should get Teamspeak, because we will set up a channel on the Casual Shenanigans Gaming Teamspeak server, which you can find in the description of this podcast. And you will be able to hop in, and there'll be a special channel that says, like, if you want to play the game, sit in here, something like that. And
it's like you by yourself. Okay, wait for a call.
And we will drag you into our TeamSpeak channel we'll be in for this podcast, so that we can, you can play the game, and then we'll throw you back in with all the swine. But that's what we think we're going to do, because that'll be a lot easier. That way, only people who are actually there will be able to play the game.
But we called a lot of people last time that were like eating dinner, like asleep, like, hello, like, hi, this is a podcast from the internet. So say hello to the internet.
If you are available at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it'll probably be 8:30 before we call people, but on June 18th, mark your calendars now. I want to have as many people watching this as possible. We're going to give away tons of games. We're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to celebrate episode 100. All of them gold. Yeah. But before we get into tonight's topic, which is, and forever will be, The Witcher 3, I think we need to thank our Patreon supporters. Patreon pays for awesome projects like the Potato Masher, which consumes all of my free time and most of my sanity. It also pays for the community TeamSpeak server that everyone is welcome to use. Come in and play with your friends, set up a special channel, do whatever you want. And it pays for all the hosting costs of the podcast, so we really appreciate it. You go to patreon.com/casualshenanigansgaming to support us. Yes, Dave.
And if you guys want to contribute to Patreon at patreon.com/casualshenanigans, you too can help contribute to the torrent of comments that continuously go to Jeremiah's inbox from the Potato Masher videos that accuse him of being a liar, and a cheat, and a thief, basically.
It's okay. My self-esteem can take it. I'm not broken. Yeah. So
just
Joel,
like live raw internet just dumping right into your inbox every single day.
I should start collecting good comments, and then when Norman comes out, you should like look at the Rotten Tomatoes page, and we should just sit there and cry and drink and read stuff together. I'm just kidding. I'm sure Norman's going to be a massive critical success.
Billions.
Those film critics will be super nice,
James
like they always are.
Today, and it was like a science link, and it was showing this technology that they actually used like wood to create certain, like a small, like nano type, like small little microchips. But it was like they used wood, and I was just like, it's like my time machine. They saw my movie, like, it's the future, wood.
Home Depot time machine. Joel, I got a notification today.
It's the future, Joel.
I didn't use mahogany, nothing nice, just cheap lumber.
It's like pre-salted.
It's like really bowed too.
You got the cast-offs. Yeah. I got a notification today, Joel, from my Google homepage. It's like, you should watch Norman, comedy, 2007, because of your interest in this film. Like that random other film called Norman.
Yeah.
That has like really average reviews. It's like, you like this film, you should watch it. It's like, it's not my Norman.
Not my Norman.
All right, let me make fun of the next Patreon supporter.
You mean thank them for their contribution?
Yeah.
Exactly.
You've done well, Lord Ben. And now I sense you wish to continue your search. I can't do it. And now I sense you wish to continue your search.
He's got to get in character, guys. Just give him a minute. He got this.
I'm trying to do the Emperor. This sucks.
Wait, that was the Emperor?
Which Emperor?
And now I will sense you wish to continue your search for annoying us with your petty cash offerings. Why am I doing a weird accent? What am I doing?
Is this Emperor Cusco? Which Emperor is this?
Yeah.
Is this Emperor Cookie Monster? I don't know.
No, then screw you, Ben, for adding a few more bucks. Thanks, man.
From all of us, screw you.
Yeah.
What I'd like to know, Ben, is why, though.
Why?
You're watching Why right now, live.
as Ultragut says, what happened to Dracula from Italy?
It's me, Dracula.
It's the Irish Emperor Palpatine cookie monster.
Look, I can't make fun of you too much. I can't do accents, period. At least you're trying, man.
You don't try, though. You know better than to try.
Well, no, I have tried, and I just don't. Like, my voice just, I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it, and then I just say things in exactly the exact same voice. I can growl.
Or it's not as bad as that be. Oh, no, it's a bear attack.
Why? All right. You guys, I think we've stalled long enough.
Yeah.
Do you guys have your Witcher 3 video download prepped?
I do.
I do.
Normally, I send out... Normally, I send out a link so everyone can watch the video along with us. I'm sorry, but you're just going to have to watch it on Twitch tonight. We cannot get it up on YouTube quite yet. We're doing it as fast as we can, but you'll be able to watch it on Twitch. I've upped my streaming quality a little bit tonight, so hopefully it'll look a bit better. And other hosts, just let me know when you're ready. And we are going to see if The Witcher 3 can run on the Potato Masher. Now, small little intro going into this. For anyone who doesn't know, the Potato Masher does not meet the minimum requirements for The Witcher 3. The processor's one generation too old, and it only has 4 gigs of memory instead of 6 gigs of memory. Although we meet the minimum requirements just barely on the graphics card. So a lot of people have been very skeptical about this working or not. And to be honest, I was pretty skeptical about...
But Jeremiah, despite this small technical issue, I'm sure that the comments remained humble and down to earth, right? I'm sure everyone just was very reasonable in their predictions.
Well, actually, for this video, I'm surprised at the number of people who weren't saying, no, there's absolutely no way. There were some of those, but there were a lot of people saying, dude, like, I'm waiting, I'm looking forward to seeing this. There are people with slower computers who've been saying, this blows my mind that anyone's paying this much attention, but they say, I'm waiting for this video to go up before I buy this. Like, if this can run it, I can run it and I'll buy it.
Oh, yeah.
I've got more than a few of those, which actually, like, if this project's doing any good, hopefully it's helping those people out.
What's the video card in it again?
It's a GTX 760. It's an MSI. It's the reference model. So it has the blower style cooler. It's not a bad card. Like, even for being a reference cooler and being a cheap board, it can take a semi-okay overclock. So I've been pretty impressed by it so far. But with no further ado, this is The Witcher 3 on the Potato Masher.
Maybe we can count it off.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Today, we're going to be comparing The Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt on the PlayStation 4 and the Potato Masher. In case you don't know what the Potato Masher is, it is a $350 computer custom built in December of 2014 and designed to compete with the PlayStation 4 for the remainder of its life cycle. The goal is not to pick on consoles, but to instead show that PCs can be a very competitive alternative to a modern gaming console while staying within a console budget. A parts list and links to the full build video can be found in the description of this video, along with links to the high-quality video download link in case you want to pixel peep. You can also click the box on screen to watch an FAQ video about the Potato Masher. This video was recorded and uploaded at 60 frames per second, so if your browser supports it, you should probably go ahead and switch over to that now. Now, let's look at The Witcher 3. Many people have requested a Witcher 3 comparison on the Potato Masher. Quite a few of those people believe that the Potato Masher will have a lot of trouble running the game, since the official RAM requirements are 6 gigabytes, which is 2 gigabytes more than we have. In the interest of transparency, I will be overlaying MSI Afterburner's performance monitor over this video so you can see how much of the GPU, CPU, and RAM the Potato Masher is using at any given point. This may be a little hard to see when I crop the video for certain comparisons, but hopefully it will still communicate the truth of the matter, which is that the Potato Masher did fine. I won't lie and say that it breezed through this game, because The Witcher 3 is very demanding on any system. However, the RAM usage stayed around 3.7 gigabytes most of the time, and even when it went all the way up to 4 gigabytes, the game still ran fine. The Witcher 3 handles RAM usage much better than some games that only officially require 4 gigabytes, like Battlefield 4 and Battlefield Hardline. The PS4 version of Witcher 3 runs at 1080p and 30 FPS, so I set that as my target. Digital Foundry's excellent comparison videos have shown that the PS4 version of the game has severe and noticeable frame rate drops at times, so I wanted the Potato Masher to have a less compromised experience. Setting everything to high and leaving NVIDIA Hairworks off, a stable 30 FPS was very doable. Unless otherwise noted, the Potato Masher is running at high for this entire section. The Witcher 3 is an open-world game, so the strain it puts on your system will vary quite a bit in different situations. Traveling through cities packed with people pushed the frame rate down to 27 or 28 FPS, but in the rest of the game world it never dropped below 30. Cities also pushed the RAM usage up fairly high, but like I said earlier, it still ran fine. Regardless of which system you play The Witcher 3 on, it's a very good-looking game. There has been some controversy on the internet about the changing art style of the game during its development, but I think it's safe to say that this is the best-looking open-world RPG that's ever been made. The character models, facial animations, weather and lighting effects, and overall world design are great on both platforms. NVIDIA has bragged a lot about its proprietary Hairworks technology, which renders thousands of strands of free-flowing hair on Geralt, the local wildlife, and various monsters. Unlike AMD's proprietary TressFX technology, Hairworks is extremely demanding on the system, reducing the frame rate by about 20%. If you want to maintain 30 FPS, you'll need to drop the rest of the game's settings down to medium. The hair does look nice, but you'll need to decide if it's worth the performance trade-off on your computer. It's hard to give a definitive edge to the PC version here. Even if Hairworks does look great, it's only a practical option for NVIDIA users, so it's more of a nice luxury than a must-have feature. While a cursory glance at the visuals shows that the PC and PS4 versions of the game do appear to be very comparable, there are some worthwhile differences. To explain further, I've consulted the best graphics analyst I know, Dave the Not-So-Evil Viking 13. Dave, what are the main differences between the Potato Masher and the PS4 running The Witcher 3?
Well, Jeremiah, like you said, it is pretty close to parity, but as usual, the PC does offer a couple of extra bonus features. Hairworks is cool, but doesn't really apply here because it is just a huge amount of overhead. It's nice if you can afford it, but like you said, not something that you should really shoot for unless you do have the overhead. What the PC does have is additional options for post-processing and some better bitmap texturing. And what that means is that you get higher resolution textures on foliage at a further distance from your player. So trees look nice even in that kind of blurry middle distance. Another nice feature here on PC is that with a bit more overhead on our graphics card, we can more easily maintain that 30 FPS, whereas both of the console versions of this game do have some serious frame drops here and there. Another area of difference is going to be our textures here. Now, most of the textures are pretty close on both the PS4 and the PC, but I have noticed that there are some higher-res textures on the PC version. Additionally, I think the PS4 version has a very aggressive depth of field filter. That's kind of that camera blur. I think it's used to hide some of the pop-in and some of those blurrier mid-range textures on the consoles. What do you think, Jeremiah?
Yeah, it seems like a pretty heavy post-processing effect, where on the PC it's very, very subtle, and actually a lot of people probably won't notice the difference. But on the PS4, I agree. It seems like they're using it to camouflage some of the corners they've had to cut, which is actually very smart. It's a very smart way to keep the game looking good on lower-end hardware.
Another very exciting thing in the graphics department for PC is how fast some patches have been coming out. We got 4 patches, including the launch day patch, in 1 week that have added additional options for sharpening. It fixed those foliage textures, and it's promised that we're going to get more and more stuff like that in the coming weeks. The developers want PC users to have just tons and tons of options for tweaking and optimizing the graphics.
Thanks, Dave. Check his channel out by clicking the box on screen. So yes, the PS4 and Potato Masher look very comparable at 1080p and 30 FPS. Gaming on a PC is about having choices though, so let's see if we can push it a little farther. One of the holy grails of PC gaming is the ability to play games at 60 plus frames per second. For some reason, the PC version of The Witcher 3 seems to have trouble scaling up to 60 FPS unless you have very nice hardware. While lowering the settings to medium at 1080p yielded 40 to 50 FPS, the Potato Masher could not reach a stable 60 FPS at 1080p even on the lowest settings. I was able to get close, but the game stayed in the mid-50s most of the time. Dropping the resolution down to 720p and settings to low made 60 FPS more consistent, but doing that makes the game look quite a bit worse, and to be honest, I don't think it's worth it. The resolution definitely affects the frame rate, but not as much as some other settings like foliage and shadows. Manually tweaking the game files to reduce these settings past their normal options might yield 60 FPS at 1080p, but I try to compare the out-of-the-box experience for games without resorting to mods or other advanced changes. Fortunately, the game does play very well at 30 FPS, but it's a little disappointing that 60 FPS wasn't more easily achievable. I do think that 45 FPS at 1080p is a nice compromise that lets you enjoy a higher frame rate without sacrificing too much visually. Okay, so maybe the Potato Masher can't play the game at 60 FPS very well. How about 1440p? Well, yes it can. At medium settings, the game stays fairly consistently around 30 FPS. The added resolution makes the game look very nice and most noticeably increases the quality of the character models and foliage. The frame rate does dip more often than it does at 1080p, so if you want a more solid experience, you'll need to drop it down to low settings. This introduces much more pop-in and other graphical shortcuts, but the frame rate is stable. Personally, I'd take 1440p medium settings since the frame rate drops aren't very extreme or distracting. Either way, the Potato Masher is definitely pushed very hard at 1440p. You may have already guessed this, but 4K is not an option. The game simply requires too much from the GPU and the Potato Masher can't keep up. If you don't mind 20 FPS, sure, play at 4K. Personally, I would rather not. As a point of comparison, here's the 720p 60 FPS footage from earlier shown to scale. Here's 1080p on high settings. Bumping up to 1440p medium, you can see how the amount of pixels being pushed is rapidly increasing. Lastly, 4K is so large that it's obvious why the Potato Masher can't manage that resolution smoothly. This budget computer is best left to 1080p and maybe 1440p. Going into this comparison, I was definitely nervous that the Potato Masher would struggle. I knew The Witcher 3 was going to be a very demanding game, and while consoles can have their settings reduced to whatever level the developers think is best, PC gamers are mostly left with the in-game options to get the game running smoothly. Nevertheless, the Potato Masher looked a bit better and ran quite a bit smoother than the PlayStation 4 version. 4K isn't possible, but 1440p is definitely achievable with a little patience. Overall, the Potato Masher held its own, and I'm pretty happy with the results. If you have any questions, check out the FAQ video or write into casualshenanigans@gmail.com and we might answer your question on the podcast. Make sure to look at the original build video and have a great day. So, what do you guys think?
Great video. Once again, great video. Well done.
I didn't mean congratulate me on the video, Joel.
Oh, yeah, I can start with that.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Dave, I like your section too. That was great. Although I almost commented because I was thinking you were doing it live, just the way I kind of forgot I was watching a video.
Yeah, it did sound kind of like live commentary, didn't it?
Yeah, because it's the exact same mic, so it sounds like you were just doing it live.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. It's nice to know that the game can run on lower than recommended, and that's lower than minimum specs, right?
Technically, we're lower than minimum, so we're a little bit better on graphics. We're definitely lower on RAM, and RAM's kind of one of those things where supposedly you can't just kind of make it work on lower RAM. Either you have enough or you don't, and that's the issue with RAM. But apparently, it doesn't actually need that much. Although I would say for my testing, I'd probably recommend 6 gigs of RAM, just because I haven't played the whole game. Yeah. There were some spots where I hit 4 gigs of usage, like the megabyte counter. Sometimes it got to 4,064 megabytes of RAM usage.
Yeah, what if there's like a giant battle at the end of the game and it just keeps crashing? Like there's nothing you can do about it.
And what was interesting, I got really worried when I hit 4 gigs of memory usage. But like Battlefield 3 or Battlefield 4 started hitching and having issues at like 3.9 gigs because it has a memory leak. Yeah, like it still had extra memory to go, and it started having tons of issues. This did not run any different up until the actual memory limit. So this game might be able to scale well enough that it can just restrict itself, or Windows can do a good job restricting it. Like the only other games we've ever run out of memory with are the things running on the Frostbite engine, and that's because it has problems. Like
many various problems.
Right, and they mostly got them fixed with Hardline, and Hardline was fine. But so I would honestly say I'd probably recommend 6 gigs, but 4 gigs work. Like I didn't modify anything else. We didn't do any tweaks. We didn't change anything. The game does work.
It's good to know. If you have a computer and you don't have anything upgraded, hopefully you should be able to run it. At least
it's worth trying.
So
if you hopped in, like even if you had, only 4 gigs and a worse video card or something, even though it has problems hitting 60 FPS at 720p, it'll run like 30 FPS all day long at 720p. Like you could play on very slow hardware at 720p, 900p, something like that. So I would say like for 30 FPS, this game scales very well. For 60 FPS, it gets a lot harder, which is a little bit unfortunate, but it works. So, good for them.
Awesome.
But yeah,
you had some headroom too for 30 FPS at high settings at 1080p for sure.
Well, I did, but when you get into some of the more crowded areas, it goes to like a 1 to 5% headroom, and then sometimes in the woods you have like a 20% headroom. That's something important to think about with open world games, and that's part of the reason the Xbox One and the PS4 have frame drops. Is some areas push your game way harder than other areas, and doesn't usually happen in like a first person shooter or a more corridor based game. So that's something to keep in mind, and that's why the consoles dip and that's why the frame rate dips. It's because they're getting pushed so hard. I think it looks awesome on the PS4. Like honestly, I would have been okay. There were some things I could look at where they could have toned it down a little bit to get a few more frames back. But apparently some of the patches coming out have actually scaled a few things down on the PS4 to get the frame rate more stable. Unfortunately,
I was just
that
playing
was
it
too
just a little
late.
bit ago.
Yeah, it was too late for me to re-record all the footage again.
It's actually pretty incredible. One of the biggest things that they fixed was just slowly, like when you slowly pan around, if you go slow, the camera will just kind of go pan, and then it'll be like and then it'll pan again. It's weird, and I think it has something with the frame timing or something like that. But anyway,
it's streaming in objects.
It's really
That's what
smooth
it is.
now. Like it's really smooth. Even if the frame dips down a little bit, it still has the smooth panning at slower frames per second. It just doesn't have that weird like glitch, like it just sticks or something. So
it's synced correctly.
It feels a lot nicer. So at least for controlling too. So
I did discover a cool little trick for anyone who maybe is struggling to play at a consistent frame rate because the game's demands change so much. If you have MSI Afterburner, it comes with the Riva Tuner statistics server, which is the thing that overlays that overlay I used in the game to show how much usage I was getting out of everything. But even if you don't want to use that, it has a frame limiter built into that program, and the frame limiter in that works really, really well. The Witcher 3 has a frame limiter, but frame timing is just as important for having a smooth feel to your gameplay. And the Riva Tuner statistics server frame timing is like perfect. It's the smoothest feeling 30 FPS I've ever felt.
I'm using it for 60 on my computer, and
do you feel a difference?
I use the in-game timer for a week at 30 FPS, the in-game timer for a few days at 60 FPS, and the Riva Tuner feels so much smoother. It's fantastic. I even tried it at 50, and it felt like 60. It was so smooth.
Yeah, so if you guys are like, if your frame rate's fluctuating a little bit, try that out because it might make things better.
Yeah.
But it's time for the topic of the week, which is, you guessed it, The Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt.
So if there's any one of you guys that don't like this game, just get out now.
I feel sorry for anyone who follows me.
Come back in 45 minutes for the wrap up.
If anyone follows me on Twitter and you don't enjoy the Witcher series, I'm just apologize for the last month and for the next few years probably.
But yeah, we're going to talk a lot about The Witcher 3, and Joel is actually, he's going to kind of do host for this part tonight. He's going to do host.
I'm going to try.
He's going to moderate.
I'm going to try and just kind of moderate
I said that could have gone better than he's going to do host.
I tried to break things down into just a bunch of different categories and stuff, just so we can kind of talk about everything. There's one category I didn't mention at the start that I did want to just really briefly talk about. It was just honestly the hype train. Like, I was really excited. I mean, the first trailer I saw a long time ago, I was very excited about this just because it looked like it was very distancing itself away from The Witcher 2 of just polishing everything, like really bringing it into a AAA game that's like good combat, good this, good. It's, it looked phenomenal. I mean, they have the graphics department and just fine, but it was bringing everything up to snuff. And I'm very impressed with the game. Like it's definitely one of the best RPG games I've ever played. Like, it's like Dark Souls for me it's still in a different category. It's not open world. It's a different category, for combat and stuff. But this game, just for exploring and everything, it has really met and exceeded my expectations for the game.
When we're talking about this game in the open world RPG genre, the games I'm at least mentally thinking about when I'm comparing it to stuff, just so you guys know, so you can be thinking in your minds, is Skyrim, Oblivion, the Dragon Age games, the Mass Effect games. I know it's not fantasy, but it's a similar feel of an RPG.
Yeah.
What other open world RPG would be a good comparison? I don't really include like Grand Theft Auto. I mean, it's debatable, but what other games would you guys say would be worth comparing to The Witcher 3 when we're talking about like good RPGs of this type?
Maybe Fable. Fable is very
good. Fallout.
Oh,
Fallout series.
Yeah.
For quests and stuff like that, for sure.
So a lot of Bethesda and BioWare games.
Yeah.
A Knights of the Old Republic, I guess, can be thrown in there. Oh, that's so old now. I don't know if that's a good comparison. Like,
dude, that's so game.
No, good. I know it's a great game. I'm saying, but like, it's so old now. Like, The Witcher 3 is going to be superior to it in like every measurable way, except if you objectively if you subjectively like the story, right? Like if you subjectively like the story of the Star Wars more, or something else, you'll probably like it.
Does anyone here like Star Wars? I don't know if there's anybody here who enjoys Star Wars.
But yeah, Joel, take it away. Do host for us.
All right, well, guys. I mean, I'm just as excited as you guys are. I wish the PS4 told me how many hours I played the game, because that's like one of those, I'm like, I love knowing how long I played a game, because to me, at the end of playing a game, it's like how do you recommend this game? Yeah, like I put 50 hours in it. Like that's a game worth putting 50 hours in, or 70 hours or whatever it is. In this, I honestly can say, like, I'm going to be playing this for a long time. It's going to take me a while to get through it, but I mean, I'm enjoying every second of it. I immediately turned the music off, because I'm just like enjoying the nature sounds and just walking around and like hearing the music inside the tavern.
The trees cracking, like the bark and all shifting. And
I didn't
turn
my music off. I definitely turned it down though, because it's just going so much that I kind of wanted to.
Yeah, but all right. Well, we'll start with story real quick, okay? And I put myself down just to talk about story, only because for people who have never played any Witcher games, I played a good amount of Witcher 1. I played maybe like 6 hours of Witcher 2. And honestly, the story in these games are pretty deep, and there's a lot of characters. It's very much like Game of Thrones, where like if you watch the TV show, you can follow along pretty easy, like, and understand the basic gist of things. But every once in a while, I'm like, wait, crap, who is that guy's name? Like, who is this guy? What realm is this? Where are we again? But you still can kind of get to understand it. I've just been impressed with Witcher 3. Like, I wouldn't say I understand the intricate details of all the races and the different people.
Would you like me to help you, Joel? We got time, don't we?
Well, I have honestly enjoyed, if I ask a question, Dave can, because Dave has read all the books, and Dave is the lore meister. So, he loves that. And I really enjoy it too as well. But I can honestly say that I'm really enjoying The Witcher 3, because it really feels like watching Game of Thrones. Like, every little side quest is just as devious and horrible as Game of Thrones, but it's very ingenious. There was a little, not a little quest, but I ran across a bridge just right before I jumped on the podcast. And these guys guarding it, and they're like pay me 50 coins, or be gone. And I was just I was like,
those guys will never be charging anyone else again.
I was like, screw you guys. But they were like level 3, and I think I'm level 7 now, or 6 or something like that. Ooh. And I was just like, slice. And I was like, nope. But then it was cool. I walked over, I was like, oh, you can like put the bridge down. I was like, that's a really, really well thought out. It's a little, I would consider almost a little mini game to unlock a bridge. Now you can run over, use your horse, whatever. But
it's like a world event.
Instead of just having a bridge, like every bridge you come across is a regular bridge. This one's like, oh, maybe this one's really broken. This one you could fix. And I think just story stuff, little side quests, even if you don't know everything that's going on, the side quest stories are just as good as a lot of games that I've played. Like a lot of games. So yeah, I mean, if you don't even like the main story, just go in to play the side quests. They're more enough story for the whole game.
Now, Ben had asked in chat, and this is actually, we made fun of him in chat because that's how we roll. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come out and hang in the chat. We'll be nice to you. Every Thursday. But he asked if we could do a quick TLDR of what the story is, with spoiler-free as possible. So I'll say on the story, do you need to know what's going on in The Witcher 1 and 2 to enjoy 3? No. But if you've read the books or played the previous games or done both like Dave and I, there's a ton of rich detail packed into 3. There's characters that I know that I remember them. I just don't even remember where, and I have to go look them up to figure like, oh yeah, that's so-and-so from whatever.
Yeah,
it is like Game of Thrones where there's so many characters you're not going to remember. But the quick version of the story in The Witcher 3, and this is not spoilers, is your name is Geralt, you're a professional monster slayer, you're kind of a relic of days gone past, the world doesn't like you as much as it used to, the world wonders, do we need monster slayers anymore? But people still need you, like in the more rural areas, to do their dirty work, to get rid of the ghouls that are haunting them and stuff. And when the game starts, you find out that someone who you care about very much has sent word to you to come meet her. Like, it's more or less your love of your life has sent word and said, you need to meet me here. And you're going to meet her because all you've heard is that someone else who's very important to you, someone who's like a daughter figure, is back, has been gone for a very long time. She's back, and she might be the key to saving the world, pretty much. And so it's got a little bit of that typical fantasy RPG, like, can you save the entire world? But it's not like you're not showing up everywhere and it's like, it's here, he's here, the savior of everybody. Can you collect 20 apples for me? I just can't do it. Like you're actually, like, you're not really even the hero in a sense. Like you're an important character, but you're not like the person of destiny who will save us all, as far as you know going into the story. Honestly,
and a lot of times you can't even like save everybody that you want to. Like you're helpless a lot of times for like versus being the all powerful hero.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Joel, can we start talking about side quests now?
Yeah,
would that be a good transition?
Well, I want to mention one thing about the story just to wrap it up. I agree with both of you. The wild thing for me playing the Wild Hunt is that it does a great job of introducing people who aren't familiar with the story to the story in a way that makes you care at least a little bit about it. Wouldn't you say that that's true, Joel? Like you can follow along and you care about it. But for people who have played The Witcher 1 and 2, who have read the books, the amount of fan service and connections is nuts. Like Jeremiah said, I've had a few moments where I've had to go back to the wiki because I was like, wait, I remember this from somewhere. But a lot of times I'm just like, the writing fits in with all the previous stuff so well. They have walked that line between new players and old fans so well.
Mm-hmm. I wish sometimes before the game came out or after, they would just come out with a 3-game box set and they just updated the first and second to just control like the third one. Just
so super enhanced edition.
Just so you could play some of the story stuff, because it's like, it's going to be so freaking hard to ever go back and play the other ones now. Like this one's just, it raised the bar so high in quality. You're like, oh man.
That's what YouTube Let's Plays are for.
Yeah, I know. But
if you want to watch a 50-hour Let's Play of The Witcher 1.
But I say we move on to side quests versus main quest quality with Jeremiah.
This is I think the single biggest improvement to the RPG genre. Not just like this game does so well, but this raises the bar for what side quests should be in other games. And they have a little bit of an advantage going in that a Witcher is a professional monster slayer. But in the previous games, you didn't do a ton of professional monster slaying. You'd help people out a little bit, and then they would give you some information you needed, and you continue in your quest. But in this game, you start out like pretty darn broke. And the only way for you to get money at first is you show up into a town, and you can go to like their bulletin board, and there will be people saying, hey, help, there's a demon something is killing people over on so-and-so's farm. And then you have to go, you can't just like show up and kill the thing and go turn the bounty in. Like you have to do actual Witcher work. You need to research what the creature is.
Fun. It's not like the part that like really kind of got me like in Witcher 2 and 1 was like, go brew a potion, and then you go to the menu and you're like, oh god. I couldn't understand. I really couldn't. I tried, and I was like, screw this. And it was almost so time consuming that I was like, I'm not doing this. Like, screw this. I'll just try to just brute force my way through a boss battle or something.
Right.
But this is really easy. Like, the menu's a lot better than the other ones, and it's just fairly easy to understand and know what to do.
But yeah, you get to do actual Witcher work. Like, you could run around for hours just doing the work of a Witcher, killing monsters. And the game's not just all the monsters are bad, kill them. You'll research, all right, why is this person, like, why is there this wraith haunting this well? And you'll research into it, you'll look around, you'll find clues, you'll talk to people, and then you piece together, oh, well, that's because they died and their lover was supposed to meet them there and they were going to have a wonderful life together, and then something went wrong and someone killed them.
And people lie to you all the time, too. Yes. So, like, there's so many twists and turns. Like, I made some decisions
I like that a lot. You're like, oh, crap.
but you can, like, you find out, you could just kill the wraith, or if you do these couple extra things, go out of your way a little bit, you can free it, and it will be at peace, and that, its soul can go off to wherever, and be at peace, and, like, you actually have that option, and there are pretty much no just bad people or great people or good monsters or terrible monsters. Like, everyone has issues, including Geralt. And the side quests, it doesn't feel like here's the crap you grind through to earn money for the main game.
Not at all.
It feels like this is your life that you have to live while you are trying to complete these quests and stuff. And the side quests are fantastic.
Yeah.
They are main quest quality. The main quests in this game are better than the main quests in most other games. The side quests in this game are better than the main quests
Dude,
in many
even
other
the little
games.
random stuff that are not even quests, you just show up to something and you like read a note or see something and you're like I went to some village and it was just like, oh, this doesn't look too bad, and like dogs came out of nowhere, and then you like a dude just like stuck in a prison, or you're just like, help me, you know, and then it's like, hello there, friend. I don't know, it's really fun to explore. I was telling Dave, I barely ever use the horse because I just want to slowly walk through the woods, or not, I don't slowly, but like I like just running through at my own pace and seeing everything, like you know,
because there's stuff to see, like legitimate stuff to see, like real content. Yeah. My thing with the side quest is, first of all, like Jeremiah said, they took the work of a Witcher as described in the books and as talked about in the previous games, but not really shown in the previous games, and made it a part of the gameplay where it's fun to do, but it actually feels legitimate, and it fits Geralt's character so well. Not only are you investigating stuff, you're adding notes to your bestiary where you're finding out about the different monsters and which potions and all work against them. And you can even, for some quests, negotiate your coin that you get for the contracts, because Witchers are kind of like chaotic neutral. You try to avoid taking sides, and you expect to get paid for your work. You're helping people, but that's your job. You get paid for it. I did a quest tonight before the podcast where there was a monster in an area that had killed this now orphan boy's father, who had tried to go out and save the village from the monster. And this man took the orphan in and said, hey, I'll put up some coin for the contract. This kid lost his father. We need to kill this monster. It's going to kill more of the village. So being a Witcher, I go into the conversation and I'm like, okay, I want to help your village, but you're kind of lowballing me here. What else you got? So you can negotiate for your price. I went back and forth. He got a little annoyed with me, but I added about 40 crowns to the price. Went from like 230 to like 260 for my price. I was like, okay, that's good. I researched the monster, did the rest of the side quest, which took about like 45 minutes. It was tons of fun.
Or 25 minutes for the regular player.
Because I did all the side parts. Like, you have options like go to the scene of the attack and investigate, or talk to these people. I'm like, or do both. Like, I want to absorb it all.
And stop and smell the roses and look at textures and take screenshots.
And find hidden loot. I did all of that, actually. So I fight the monster and I come back, and just the amount of choices that you have. I came back with the monster's head, and I talked to the guy, and he's like, thank you. You saved the village. We can finally move on from this monster that's been terrorizing us. And my options were to, thank him for the contract and move on, or I could leave the gold behind for the orphan who had lost his father in the attack. And I had to think about it. I was like, I could probably use more coin, but I don't really need it right now. So I had to really think about it. I actually ended up turning the money over to the orphan. I gave it away. So I had negotiated more for the contract, but then gave it away.
Whoa, Dave. Now, what would Geralt do now? I feel like you're kind of going against the grain here for immersion. I feel like he would actually.
Well, as a book reader,
Geralt gets sucked into things a lot of the time. He's supposed to be neutral, but he's not as good as the rest of the Witchers at that.
The quest in the bog, you like helping the kids, is like, I'll play hide and go seek. I'm like, all right, I'm a monster. I'm like, I could kill you all, but I'll play hide and go seek.
He's actually definitely more empathetic than a lot of the other Witchers. He still has a lot of his humanity, so I felt like that was a pretty legitimate choice. But just the amount of depth, that was a Witcher contract side quest in one tiny area of one of the many gigantic sections of this game. That was a side quest. 45 minutes of choices, decisions, exploring, looting, fighting, and just Witcher work. Amazing side content.
Just the way like side quests work is, I was trying to get across a bridge and you needed a pass for something, and the guy said, hey, help my brother out in some field and you have to slay monsters, and I wasn't good enough, so the guy died. I came back, I was like, I slayed the monsters. He's like, yeah, but where's my brother? It's like, he's dead. He's like, well, screw you, I'm not giving you the pass. I was like, okay. I was like, crap, what do I gotta do? And then I had to do another job. I just liked that. It was kind of like, oh, okay, well, that's kind of cool. For me, like, coming from Dark Souls, I'm like, I was really happy with that. I'm like, it's just kind of like, nope, screw you, we're not giving you a free pass, gamer. Like, go work for it.
I liked, there was a side quest where you come across it pretty early in the game. You go talk to some herbalist about something for a main quest, and like you need her to make you something, and there's a sick lady there, and you just, in the conversation, you have the choice to ask, hey, what's her deal? Of course, it's better, the dialogue's better than that. But she says, she's dying, there's nothing I can do about it. And Geralt says, hey, well, we've got this swallow potion that witchers drink. It might kill her, but it might heal her, and she's definitely going to die otherwise. You want me to make you some? And the lady's like, sure, if you could do that, that'd be awesome. I was like, great. I accepted it, and then realized, oh, I don't have the stuff to make swallow. So I ran around to a bunch of different merchants, and I couldn't find anyone who had the right ingredients. So I thought, okay, well, I'll come back as soon as I find them. So like 3 hours later, I did find enough stuff, like doing other quests. I was like, sweet, I'll head back. And I went to track the quest in my inventory, and it wasn't there. And I kept looking, and then I looked at my failed quest, and the quest had failed. So the woman had died because I didn't get back in time. And like,
it's awesome.
There wasn't something that popped up and said, you failed this mission or something. Like, it just, the world moved on without me.
Yeah, I love that stuff. And
I've heard there are multiple quests like that where if you don't check your quest tracker, if there's a timed event, like the game doesn't tell you, like you have 3 days to complete this quest. It doesn't tell you that. It says, like in the dialogue, it's implied there's an urgency to this, but they don't give you like a little countdown timer. But then you'll come back and world events will have changed without you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and there's no going back.
I love that. I mean, for me, it's like you have a little bit of pain. You're like, oh, I wish I completed it. But then back in my eye says, dude, there's like 5,000 quests in this game. I'm going to be okay. You know what I mean? So I mean, I like it because it's like, I like that the game will make you feel that way. Anytime a game can make you feel, I like that. Like when you're just like, oh, crap. Like, I like that it actually, like, if it's another game, I'm like, don't give a crap, But I like that I was like, oh, man. I was like, all right, guess I'll fight better. And I'll know next quest I get to help the people to, fight quicker or something.
Yeah. And unlike in games like Mass Effect, where when you have a choice to make, it's like, choose blue and be nice, or choose red and be bad. It does not tell you at all. When there's a choice to be made, it gives you a timer, so you can't deliberate too long. You have to actually just make a choice and move on.
That reminded me of Heavy Rain.
And it doesn't even do like the Walking Dead thing where it's like, what's her face will remember your decision. Like, it never tells you, is this a significant decision or does this not matter? But you'll find out way down the line, like, oh crap. You see people talking about on the Witcher subreddit, like talking about different quests, and they'll talk about how it went, and someone comments and goes, wait, what happened? Like, I didn't get any of that. Like, that quest ended for me like 3 hours ago.
Yeah.
And someone was like, wait, that person lives? Like, wait, you can do what? Like, the game, it doesn't present it as do this or do this. It just lets you make decisions all along, and it just guides you along. And it feels like, well, this is obviously what would happen. It doesn't feel like, well, A or B, you picked A, all right, here you go. Like, it feels like, oh, this is the natural evolution of what's happening. So,
well, let us get us back on course, and let's head to the next category, guys.
I'll end with just this though. What the developers didn't warn us about is this game is 200 hours of content and then 200 hours of replaying it for the rest of the content. Like, where does it end?
I'm only going to only play it once. I've decided. I mean, maybe play it again in 5 years or something.
Okay,
but I want, like, as the amount of time I've invested in the Witcher universe at this point, I want to play through this. I'm going to take my sweet time, and when it's done, I just want to like be able to walk away from it and have like this complete amazing experience and be done for a while.
It's probably, I mean, honestly, it's probably going to be one of those games that you probably will only play once. I mean, it's a long game, but by the time the game is over, there's going to be a lot of new games out too. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of, so it's just going to be, are you going to be able to find time to play this game again? So for me, I mean, I'm going to take my time. This is definitely a long-term game. Like, for me, it's a Dark Souls game where it's like, I can pick it up anytime and just continue my quest, like, and keep going. I hope it lasts for quite a long time, at least until Fallout 4 comes out. Dear Jesus.
Dude, Fallout 4 is going to have to knock the bar up when it comes to quests and stories and looting and everything.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's like, Witcher has amazing quests, but there's something else to be said. Like, you didn't really connect with Fallout 3 as much as I think me and Dave did. Right. I love the quests in Fallout 3. They have a kind of a silliness and humor to it that, like, I really like, But I think the next one's going to be a lot better when it comes to just how many things you can do. But I think it's the world and the atmosphere and the music and stuff that kind of, is overall as well. But all right, let's move on to. I'm going to go take the first section because. I'm a UX designer and I do a lot of web design and stuff. And we're talking about graphics now, but I'm going to talk about PC settings. Not actually the PC settings, but just the menus, like just how things look and stuff. Mm-hmm. I love it. Like, I think one of my favorite, honestly, game menus ever probably has to go to Half-Life 2. Only just because it's simple, it's to the point,
it's so simple.
And you just feel like, oh, let me click load game, bam, you're in there. Like, one of the worst menus I'm thinking about is like, I think Splinter Cell Blacklist or something like that. That one had such a weird menu. You go here, then here, then here, then here. You do this, you have to put options, you have to press the left trigger to get to friends, and then, it's just awkward. Like, it reminded me of 2005 gaming where it was just a nice simple layout. Here's a menu, here's options, bam, 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 bam. So I like that. That is another huge thing for me to keep playing a game. Like, if it's frustrating just to press save, go to find a save spot, press save, go back out. Like, if that's actually really tedious and annoying, that honestly affects me playing the game. Like, if I die and I'm like, oh, I got to do that again, like, that actually can persuade me to be like, I might switch to another game right now. Mm-hmm. So I was impressed with that. And then let's go on to textures, Dave. Just try to keep it to just textures.
Yeah, this is where I'll mention just briefly all the downgrade talk. There are some individual assets that were higher resolution, a few years back when the game was so much smaller in scale. Textures on the trees and all were a little bit higher res. And in general, the speed tree, which is the middleware used for trees in The Witcher 3, I'm always of the opinion that all speed tree games tend to have a really similar look for the trees.
What other games are speed tree games?
World in Conflict was one. There's a lot of speed tree games. I think GTA 5 is one, possibly. I'm pretty sure, actually. But
Oblivion and Skyrim was.
Oblivion and I don't know about Skyrim, but I know Oblivion was. Oblivion's a good example that had kind of that painterly, just how the leaf decals and all look.
I have a list. Yeah. Assassin's Creed Unity, Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, Arkham Knight, Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, Brothers in Arms, Hell's Highway.
Battlefield 3 and 4 is Speed Tree?
Yep. Call of Duty 3.
They don't look like Speed Tree, wow.
Crackdown, Destiny, Dragon Age Inquisition, Dragon Age Origins, Oblivion, The Evil Within, Empire Total War, Far Cry 4, Forza Horizon, Forza 5, Grand Theft Auto 4, H1Z1, Heavenly Sword. Like, do I need to keep going? I mean, it's Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Speed Tree's used in a lot of things.
Yeah, for sure.
Speed Tree was also used in Age of Ultron, Unbroken, Godzilla, Maleficent. Wow. Okay, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's a really flexible system. I've used it, way back in the World in Conflict editor, actually. Going back to just texture specifically, though, we have lost some of that, crisis level PC ultra texture density, sure. But overall, the game is still one of the best looking games I've ever played. And not at an individual asset level, but the legitimacy of the world, the detail, the lighting, everything just comes together so well that, yeah, the occasional rock is blurrier than it could be, but it does not matter in this game. And there are mods, I'm sure, that are coming out to fix that. Maybe even some patches to fix some of the blurrier textures. But overall, super impressive. More than enough to say that this is one of the best looking RPGs that I've ever played.
Jeremiah, you want to take the Hairworks?
Yeah. So,
Hairworks. I want to talk about Hairworks too. This should have been my thing.
Well, no, you could fill in too, but I'll start. Hairworks is a very cool idea, and it's using power of your graphics card that maybe isn't used for many other things to make really free flowing, wavy, physics-enabled hair, like the Monsters Incorporated effect. Monsters Incorporated was really cool because when it came out, it had fluffy, wavy hair, which you'd never seen before in an animated movie, and it looked really, really good. And Hairworks is kind of trying to do the same thing. It's trying to make the wolves and the griffins and everything else have that wavy, flowy hair, to have Geralt's hair have, wavy, flowy hair, wavy, flowy beard. It's a very cool idea. It's a similar thing that AMD did with Tress FX for Tomb Raider, although that was really just for Laura's hair, not for everything in the game.
Yeah.
But the problem with Hairworks is that it requires a lot of performance. If you have a lot of extra performance in your system, it's a really cool feature. Turn it on, enjoy it. It looks cool. I personally don't think Geralt's hair looks that great, but I think most of the other things that have hair in the game look pretty good. But Hairworks takes a lot of performance, and apparently it runs better on the GTX 9 series than it does on the previous versions. So some people are a little irritated at NVIDIA for that. But Dave, I know you really like Hairworks.
Yeah, and to speak about the Maxwell, the 900 series cards and tessellation, it's just a fact that those cards are more efficient at tessellation, which is also why they have just a general tessellation advantage over AMD cards. As for Hairworks specifically, I think it's a personal opinion thing. Like, you really got to do a value judgment. I'll agree with you that Geralt's hair doesn't always look great with Hairworks. Sometimes it's just a little too flowy, with the exception of his beard, which looks magnificent with Hairworks at all times. It's just glorious. I've been growing his beard out for like a week now in my save game. So beautiful. The performance hit is more than it should be. And from what I understand, it's actually because of the anti-aliasing on the hair. Like his 6,000 individual hair beard has like 4x MSAA on it, which is a huge performance hit.
Which is dumb because you don't see his beard most of the time. Like it's in front and you're in behind. Like
yeah, they really should use some kind of like blur filter on it or something like that.
Because when you're running around a game, I don't think you can tell the difference between his beard with or without hair works in a cutscene for sure. But like just running around the game, you're not going to notice that most of the time. I'm betting.
Oh, you mean you guys
Dave
don't stop and spin the camera and just check out Geralt's beard occasionally, just see how it's doing, just check in on it?
Not
No?
really.
No. All right. Well, me either. I think though, like Far Cry 4, where Hairworks really shines is on the world and the creatures. I think there are some of the creatures in the world look like totally different with and without Hairworks. When the video goes up tomorrow, you guys should go and check it out again and check out the wolf with the hair and without. In motion is harder to tell, but once I saw it, I could not go back. They've improved the performance a bit now, and I really hope NVIDIA and the developers keep pushing that performance increase, because I think this is going to be a feature that 5 years from now, all games will use fur like this and hair. Like texturing hair will be a thing of the past. Right now it's expensive, but it is the future, I think, and it looks really, really cool.
It would be nice if they opened up the code like AMD did for TressFX.
Yes.
I wish they would open it up so it can not be hey, if you want Hairworks, got to buy NVIDIA. But it would be something where if you want it, you can have it.
Right.
So
awesome. Next segment is foliage. Mm-hmm. I want to talk about this because this is honestly one of the number one reasons I love exploring The Witcher 3. And by foliage, I just mean all, like trees, grass, bushes, plants, all sorts of things. Like, okay, even just when you pick plants, just having them disappear in an interesting way, like you pick berries, the berries disappear from the bush, stuff like that. Like everything, it moves, and it's exciting to go through the forest. And there's so many freaking trees. Like, I'm just blown away that an open world so big could have such dense forests, like going through the swamps. There's just so many things moving on screen that honestly, I am really impressed that it plays as well as it does on PS4. They did a great job.
Yes,
whatever
for sure.
Demon magic they're doing on it, and I think it's more to the engine necessarily, not necessarily just always the power of the PS4. I think it's their engine is a very, very high quality engine. But yeah, like just seeing the trees sway, and they don't sway bendy like retarded Battlefield, how it's like you shoot a bullet by and they're like woo 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 woo, like little rubber bands, but like, it just feels really realistic, like coming up to a town and the trees are swaying behind the villages and stuff like that. It just feels dense and thick, and it's like wandering in a forest, and I really love that. It adds so much to the game for me. Like, that's why I turned the music off, because I love hearing just the creaking of the trees, the swamps, all that. That to me is exciting, because I like eventually getting to a tavern and you hear someone playing music. Like, it's like exciting to hear music again.
I wish there was a feature with the music where you could maybe just have it on for cutscenes or something, or for fighting. Yeah. Because I would say I wouldn't want to leave the music off, because it gets really good for cutscenes. Like when you're doing quests and stuff, I think it's worth to have it on. But I
hate whenever the battle music comes on, because it's the same. And I'm like, I'm just fighting a little dude. Like, it's not that epic of a battle.
You never know, man. It's time to go.
And the music does repeat a lot. Like, I think honestly, Skyrim had really good ambient music, but then again, I did turn the music off, because every time you get into a battle, it was always dun 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 dun. I hated that. It was like, I want the ambient music for when you're just strolling around, but then the music off when you battle. But I mean, the music's still awesome. It's just that it repeats a lot, and I just prefer honestly playing a lot of my games without any music. I did that for Aliens. I do that for almost all my games. So especially Fallout, because I just listen to the Pip-Boy music.
Now, for terrain, can we roll that into the game world itself?
Yeah, sure.
This game is huge. This game has, 3 main areas? I mean, there's Skellige, Veland, White Orchard, I guess Novigrad.
Three main areas, and then, 3 medium to smaller size areas.
But all total, it's bigger than Skyrim. It's bigger than Grand Theft Auto 5. It's bigger
than DayZ.
Bigger than Red Dead Redemption. It's the biggest. That's all you know.
It is gigantic.
Now, I was a little bummed that it's broken up into 3 sections or 4 main sections. I wish you could ride straight from one section to the other, Because I feel like when they were talking about it and they said no load screens and stuff, open world game, I was really thinking it was going to be completely open. But if that's what they need to do to get it to run, I'm okay with that. It's an acceptable compromise because the areas are so huge, but I'm a little bit bummed by that.
My thoughts on the load screen, I wish they hadn't pushed so hard in the marketing for it's all one world, because it's not. I don't know what.
Because you have to fast travel, which is loading another world. That's what that is.
I don't know who decided to push that. It was probably some like marketing thing where the marketing team decided to push that, and the designers were just like, that's...
I mean, the thing is, it's not really wrong to say that either, though. It'd be, I don't know. Okay, let's say the entire world is, say 7 times the size of Skyrim, right? But there's one little extra mission that you transfer over there. Then it's like, well, it's not technically a fully open world. Then I would say the thing that really makes it open world to me is you do not have to load to go inside houses.
Yeah.
That right there, like I kind of forgot about it several times. I'd be like I remember in Skyrim, like you play a lot, and I played on the 360, so it'd have a little bit longer loads for bigger buildings. Small ones is not too bad, but that became a thing of like, I don't know if I want to go into the bar because I'm gonna have to wait like 10 seconds to load into it, unless there's a quest. But this is kind of like,
oh, Joel,
I'll stop it on the bar, get a drink.
I gotta share this moment, dude. Have you been into Novigrad yet?
With me, Dave. What?
Are you ready to share a moment with me, Joel?
Yes, I am.
Have you actually been to Novigrad yet, the larger city?
Yes, I have. I've kind of strolled through it a few times.
Spoiler free.
It's a giant city. Spoiler.
This is not a spoiler. This is just amazing. My first time in Novigrad, Joel, I went right to the shopkeeper to look for cards to buy, for some Gwent cards. But it was like a really upscale shop, right? The sun was setting outside. I just walk in the door. All the interiors there, the candles are lit, so it's like interior lighting all of a sudden. The door closes behind me. I go to talk to the shopkeeper, and all the dialogue has cinematics. The camera's going back and forth as we're talking about his stuff he's selling, and then it just hits me all of a sudden. The window that was next to the door behind Geralt, where he'd walked in, is like a stained glass colored window, right? Like all these different colors.
Yeah.
And I realize I'm seeing people walking by outside, like guards, people holding torches. It's all the people outside. Then I'm like, wait, the sun's setting behind them. There's god rays going past them. It's like diffused and like a little bit, like you're just looking right outside into the city. Like the life is still going on right outside.
Have you guys done the quest?
I've reached full immersion.
I guess I don't think Dave has, but have you done the quest for Kira or something like that? The sorcerer lady.
Kira
she asked you to come back. She asked you to come back and help.
Not the second one, no.
And you go to an island.
Yeah, you go to an island. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you finish? Did you find out what happens at the very end when you walk away from the house?
That's very ambiguous. I'm not sure.
You might not have seen it because it wasn't a part of I walk away and you hear a yell, but it's funny, you can see through the window something's going on. And it was pretty funny because I was like, I kind of forgot. I'm like, sweet, you could see through windows into houses. You don't have to load in to see it. Dude, I love it. Like the game is, I just absolutely get lost in it. I was telling Dave, I would pay a lot of money if I could play co-op in this game. If Jeremiah, we could just roam around on horses, killing bandits and stuff, that would be a freaking amazing game to play co-op.
So like Dark Souls.
Yeah.
But in The Witcher.
Yeah.
But the co-op works.
But I was like, it'd be awesome if you could play as a bad guy, like invade other people's worlds and just run amok and try to kill certain people. That'd be awesome. But anyways, let's move on to people models. Wait, you have something terrain? Okay.
I had one final note on terrain regarding the load screens, Jeremiah. I was saying, I think the marketing was a mistake, but I do like that the fast travel does make the world seem like it is actually continent sized. Mm-hmm. I feel like if you could ride from one side of the map to the other, it wouldn't feel like the continent as described in the books, because they spent like an entire winter traveling through some of these areas in the books. Like it would feel too compact and just compressed. So I like that part of it.
Yeah, that's true. I guess that makes sense. Is they can't really show the world as big as it's supposed to be, but they want to take you to all these places in the world. So it's a bit of a compromise there, but it's good.
I don't really think that would actually ruin it at all, only because in the game you ride to one area, all of a sudden now you're into snow. You know what I mean? Or like there'd be a snow area, like how like in Skyrim, like you go from here one to there. Like it doesn't bother me. It doesn't go like, oh man, it's snowing up here. I move so quick. I think it's fine for them to do either way, but I don't think it would have ruined it because the game is still so big. Taking 10 minutes to go across some area would take a lot longer in real life. So anyways.
Yeah.
But all right, let's move on to people models. I feel like Dave would do very well to talk on people models. And I want to say Geralt's model, holy crap.
Yeah, as Debbie's been talking about in chat, he's a good-looking man.
I'm just going to paste this image in the chat again. Joel, click on this link.
If you haven't played The Witcher 1, he's not really a look.
Look at that concerned look he's got. That concerned look.
Oh, my ovaries. The Witcher 1, he's not a good looker. He's a little ugly. Like,
Yes, he is.
but The Witcher 2 getting a little bit better. The Witcher 3,
Man crush.
I'm a happily straight man, but sometimes
With the right potions.
urges.
oh my gosh, Mark. Oh. But yeah, as a straight man, I have no problem saying that is a drop dead sexy man right there.
And, the thing about the character models, seeing you directed it at me, I guess I'll just answer it briefly for you, Joel. Of course, they're fantastic. This is a very forward-looking game as far as the detail and the facial animations. And when people talk about those graphics downgrades, look at the faces in the trailer from 2013. They were okay. I mean, they were decent. Especially, who's your Witcher partner in the beginning of the game? Total Vesemir. His face in the early trailers it was not great. But here in the conversations, like the screenshot that I posted, he has this like little bit of a brow furrow going on, and the subtle changes to the facial animation in conversations and all is so convincing. Even in moments where like the background sounds aren't great in the cinematics and maybe the voice acting is just kind of just a little bit flat, the facial expressions really are convincing and fantastic. So
it's not The Last of Us.
Yeah.
But The Last of Us has like a tenth of the content, if that.
It's one of those things. It's not like mind blowing, but when you play a game that's so big and every character has talks and just the stories they have, it's very
compared
very
to Skyrim,
impressive.
cutscenes in Skyrim are this. Hey, would you like to buy things at the shop?
Get away! What's the Ard sign?
So
Stamina. I got to eat some more meat. Nom, nom, nom.
compared to that, it's pretty good.
It's
Can I
good.
say
It's really
one thing
good.
about I think the most insane thing about the textures, or sorry, just the people models in this, is not necessarily the faces or the hair. It's good. I think the eyes are really, really well done.
Yes,
but
they are.
it is the freaking leather and the wraps on him. Like
The freaking leather stretched across that tight Witcher booty.
Freaking leather and wraps, Joel.
No, but
Joel's all about Geralt's leather and wraps.
you look at I'm looking at the sword, the hilts. It's more of when
The
belt,
pommel.
the belt loops that kind of like come off a little bit, like how they modeled all that. That it's not like connected to the character, so when they move, it kind of like sways on their hip. You know what I'm talking about? How textures of clothing
Swaying on the
kinda-
hip. I know what you're talking about.
But Dave was over and I was showing him on the PS4, but I'm like, I think they were just like, you know what? Whether the graphics are amazing anywhere else, they're going ultra high res on the textures for his coat and jacket and everything else. Like it is like really jaw dropping, really well done.
Yeah.
So just looking at that leather. but look at the little the little belt loop right under his little medallion thing. Like that, it just looks absolutely phenomenal. Like it's really, really well done. Like
Yes.
the lower half of him looks CGI.
That's the important part. I think to sum it
that's all I
up,
have.
they knew where to spend their memory budgets for sure, and they went the extra mile to put detail where you're gonna notice the detail, and it's so well done.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to sound. Jeremiah, you want to kick it off with some voiceover work?
Yeah, so the voiceover work, it depends on the stuff you're doing. For the main quests, it's all pretty great. And pretty great compared to other video games. Like, obviously, movies are better than this. And obviously, it's not going to be The Last of Us, which is, one of the best story representations in the game.
It's a movie that you play.
Exactly. But for the size of the game, this is the best, I think, voice work I've ever seen in an open world game like this, except for maybe Patrick Stewart's opening monologue for Oblivion. But, other than that...
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Mass Effect also has some really good cutscenes and voiceover work and stuff, too. But in this game, it ranges from pretty good to really, really awesome. And I think they did an awesome job sourcing actors to play everybody. I haven't run across even some of the main characters that I know are going to be in the game yet. But so far, I'm pretty impressed. Everyone's voice sounds like it goes with their character model really well.
The casting's... Yennefer's
casting's
voice,
really
when I
good.
first heard Yennefer talk, I was like, wow, that sounds perfect for her character. Wow. So
I was coming back and trying to replay The Witcher 1 again, and the first thing I thought like 20 minutes in was like, wow, I hope the voice actress for Triss is different in game number 3. Hey, Geralt! Hey,
Oh, I forgot about that. That voice.
Carol, I care about you. Or that's not what her voice sounded like. It was super like nasal and flat and just like, it's obvious they found the only English speaking person they knew, like the only American person they could find and had them record it.
Some of the samples in The Witcher 1 had like buzz in the background and all too. Like it was some pretty bad samples.
Yeah, but by game number 3, they've got that worked out. It's really good. And the sound effects in general, they're great. I mean, you know, they're not going to blow you away, but the immersion of the sound in the game can.
The combination of all the sounds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you're riding through the woods and like the trees are waving around and it's thundering and you hear animals yelling and making noise off in the distance and your horse is galloping and stuff, like it sounds really good. It's a very impressive sound presentation.
Yeah,
and I would say the music is very well done, although like Joel said, it's kind of too much though. Like it goes on and on and on and on, and I wish there was
a little Man of Steel music. Like
exactly.
That movie.
Yeah,
like I enjoyed Man of Steel, but man, like the music was just the entire time. This is a little much. But again, I'm more on the side of I don't like music just because I like I don't know, I like hearing the sounds and stuff. One thing with the sounds that like is insanely important to me, like it seems like such a like small trivial thing, but to me it's massive in a game, especially in a giant open world game and you're doing things a ton of times, and that is picking up loot. It sounds so dumb to say, but the sound,
not at all.
you know what I mean? The sound effect that when you click A or you click the button, you know, to loot an item, that it's not ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching.
cash register.
Yeah, and Skyrim did it so well too. When you pick up, you know, gold little, you know, whatever coins and things like.
There's just little,
it's so simple, but it's addicting, but it's a good sound and it's not frustrating. Because I mean, there are some like Dragon Age Inquisition. There's a couple sounds in that game that you do like there's one move you hold the top left button, you do this swing attack, right? What it was, you could hear the sound effect looping constantly. You just did this swirl attack, but it never ended. So you literally could just hold the button down and just keep swinging and swinging and swinging. And it was a great attack. But I would not use it because of the sound effect. It was crappy. That I was like, I'm not even going to use the most powerful attack I have in my arsenal right now because the sound effect is annoying. Like, I mean, everything all comes together to make a good game. His footstep sounds as well. I hate the crap out of Daisy's footstep sounds. The little canteen wobble sound as you move. Like, it's just frustrating. It's annoying to hear all the time.
That needs to be an occasional sound, not every step.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, yay, realism. Maybe if you have something, you know, if you're wearing a backpack full of pots and pans. But this is a game. Like, you're listening with headphones. You want to listen to other people chat too. But they have a lot of respect for the sound effects for just traveling through, like, especially walking through the bog, the sound of the water splooshing. And it's very well done. It's very well done. It's really high quality work. And it's kind of surprising, like, that this company did that. Like, you know, I mean, it's like for me, I think the same way with Metro Last Light. They have amazing graphics. But there's a lot of things that are just like things that you can tell are just not polished. Like they just don't have a I don't know, like an animator that really knows how to, like, when you wake up from a game, let's say you fall unconscious, it does that weird camera thing where the camera comes up, wobbles a little bit, and then it goes to playing. Everything from transitioning from talking with someone to the camera moving out, sound effects, it's great.
The transitions in the camera of The Witcher 2 were awful. Like, it was just so abrupt. Like, conversation over, boom, camera's back.
Yeah, the best when you, like, slay someone, they're on the ground, like, dead, and it cuts like, whoa, 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 don't hurt me anymore. I'm like, wait, you were on the ground. Let's get on to gameplay. Jeremiah, you want to talk about some horse combat?
Yes. How many games even have horse combat? Let's start there. Like, Mountain Blade, yeah. Red Dead Redemption, kinda, but it doesn't really count because you just go into slow motion mode and pick, I want to shoot this, and this, and it does it. Like, that's not really horse combat. You just happen to be on a horse. But what other games have fighting from horses?
The only really good one that I would say is better is Zelda. And that's Twilight Princess. That had phenomenal horse.
Shadows of Mordor did pretty well, too.
Okay.
I don't
it wasn't a horse. But it was,
yeah, but anyways.
Mounted combat, Shadows of Mordor.
Really, but it's very rare for a game to have really good horse combat.
It's very rare for a game to have horse combat, and this one it's really good. It actually kind of uses the Mountain Blade idea of you have to time your sword swings and kind of position where you're going to swing the sword. Like, you can't just click the button when you're riding past somebody. But I like that if you're on horseback, you can take on much stronger enemies because you have all the momentum of your horse swinging the sword, and you can really cut people down fast. And I really like that they made the horse combat extremely powerful, even though it's going to be hard to fight a lot of things on horseback because, like, if there's a bunch of monsters, your horse will get scared and pitch you off. Or you could buy blinders and make your horse, not be able to see as much, so they're not scared as mad. There's lots of options for it, and I think that's really cool. But
a side note for the horse combat, have you guys noticed this? If you do get some good blinders and a good saddle for your horse, horses are actually a great way to defeat enemies, like groups of enemies that are a few levels above you, because you can actually outmaneuver them.
Yep.
Especially groups of humans, bandits, and deserters and stuff like that. I've actually fought some enemies that are like 4 levels above me by carefully maneuvering my horse, zigzagging, and taking out like the archers first and like the heavily armored guys. It's a pretty cool mechanic that fits into the game so perfectly. It makes sense. It works well.
Anytime I run across a group of bandits accidentally out in the woods who are a couple of levels higher than me, I just ride in a circle around them and then like ride in, smack one of them, like decapitate them, ride off, circle around, wait for one of them to like follow me out a little bit, decapitate them, go back in. Like it's really good.
It's funny. I think I found out how to use the horse thing. I was surprised there was no tutorial for the horse. There's tutorials for everything else, but there was no like, hey, hold down the button for that. I was surprised with that because I saw it in the trailer, so I just figured you'd unlock like a
no. They told you how to gallop and stuff in your horse. There was a tutorial.
Oh, okay. I guess that, but they didn't show you how to fight, right? At least I don't remember.
No, they didn't show you how to fight.
Press those buttons, but I don't think they said to hold the button.
Yeah.
So, anyways, if you don't know how to do that, hold down the buttons to fight. And also, I realized you don't have to like choose left or right click for, I don't know how it is for like directions. You just hold either button, and the way your camera moves, he'll move to the left or right to hit. But yeah, I really enjoy the horse combat. It's a lot of fun. Okay, let's move on. You know what? I'm gonna move this section just towards the end. But let's talk about the combat UI first. We'll just leave the little slight negatives just toward the end.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll go first. I mean, Witcher 1 and 2 really kind of confused the crap out of me when it came to a lot of UI stuff. It's a very deep game. Like Witcher is an extremely deep game, and I would say it's a little bit like how Dark Souls is. Like Dark Souls is a very deep game where when you fight a boss, you could be wearing a ring that gives you fire protection. If you read this note, if you talk to this person, like it is very deep. Unless you know what you're doing, you probably won't run across the items, and you'll have to fight another way. So Witcher is very deep in the sense that like there's a lot of options. You can have this sword, you can do this potion, you can do this letter, you can do this iron ignite, you can do lots of different stuff. But their UI, I'd say, could use a little bit of help. It's not super intuitive on stuff, but it's leagues better than the last 2 games. But but just for the screen when you're actually playing the game, I think it's pretty straightforward for most of the things to kind of go, oh, I'm being poisoned, I have an attack going on, I'm blocking, all that kind of stuff. There's a few little icons that I still don't really understand. There's a few little like 3 icons on the top left that are kind of little chunks. I don't really understand exactly. I don't understand what adrenaline does and how to activate it.
I just realized I don't either. I've never used it before.
Yeah, like, do you activate it? Is it just like when you have adrenaline, you can just keep fighting? I still don't know.
I think adrenaline just like recharges. I could be totally wrong. People who really know what they're talking about are going to be laughing at us. But I think maybe like it recharges your stamina super fast when your adrenaline builds up, or like it lets you do faster moves or something. Like it lets you just go nuts.
I bet it refills your like magic spell ability to do it much quicker. So if you kill a couple guys really quick, it brings it back up.
I think that might be it.
So I don't know. So there's a couple things like that, but I would say they're so key that you're not gonna be able to know how to play the game because they're a little confusing.
There is a perk in your character options to be able to spend an adrenaline point to use a sign. So I know that's one feature. So maybe if you don't have that point, maybe it does just make your stamina recharge faster. That might be it. Huh. I don't know.
Because, okay, playing on PS4 with the controller, I don't know if you're playing with the controller as well, Jeremiah, but have you ever had where you're like walking around something and all of a sudden the controller will just go, it'll just vibrate a little bit? Has that not happened at all?
Not randomly, I don't think.
I think it's connected to the adrenaline or something like being refilled or letting you know that your magic sign is again, but I've never been able to look over quick enough to see if that's what it is.
Yeah, I've never
noticed that. I thought it was like my
that.
medallion like vibrating to tell me like
it might be your
treasure.
Medallion.
But I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. It's just like, hold on the medallion. It's like, it's jiggling.
I think the medallion generally in the books it would activate when there was just a magic something nearby, like something that was not 100% natural. So it could be a lot of things. It could be enemies. It could be, like signs of murder or, quest marker. I don't know. But in general, in the books, in the previous games, it was just anything that was not of this world would cause it to vibrate.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah, but I mean, overall, it's the combat UI I think is very, very good. So it's not the best, but it's leagues better than the last one, and you're not gonna have a hard time just being able to play. It might take you a little while to kind of figure out all of it, but it's not a big problem. And did you guys see the latest IGN article for Witcher? They're going to be supporting the game for the next 2 years.
Yes.
So I honestly could see them patching a crap ton of stuff that's just extra, like new moves, all sorts of crazy stuff. That
it happened with The Witcher 2.
It feels like that kind of game where they could be like, you know what? I want to add the ability to sneak in this game. Bam, it's in the game. Like, press the.
Joel wants to be a sneaky snag.
I want to be a sneaky snag. So let's talk about the loot UI.
Dave, take it away.
Yes, let's. It works.
Although
it works
I don't
well.
think you see it very much because you just go click on everything.
I'll share this one on launch day. The 1.1 patch came out on launch day. 1.2 patch came out 2 days later, Jeremiah?
Yeah,
right.
I think so.
Yeah. In the 1.1 patch, there was a glitch. Kind of like a mixture of a graphics driver glitch and a combined game glitch, where accessing your inventory would cause your graphics card to go into like idle mode, and then like lock the game up. Because like you go to your inventory, it goes from say 30 FPS lock to 60 because it's just rendering the 2D UI, and that shift in your graphics card's clock speed would just cause the game to freeze up. So on launch day, I crashed a lot because I was opening my inventory like every couple minutes. As far as the UI itself goes, yeah, I'll agree with Joel here. It's functional. It works well. It's not the best in the world, but it's better than previous games. Really, all I think it's missing is because I'm running at 1440p, I wish it would fill just a bit more of the screen. There's a lot of negative space. And I wish that there were more filter options. Filtering is kind of useless right now. It just kind of filters by type, I think, is the default option.
Yeah.
And it's just, I wish I could sort by like weight, value, wear, stuff like that. Because my inventory is getting pretty full. Somehow, like in the first area outside of White Orchard, which was the starting area, the very first merchant I talked to had a saddlebag that increased my carry weight from 40 to 130, which I still have not even filled half of yet. Like, my inventory just exploded right at the beginning of the game, so I've already got tons of crap I'm carrying. So I wish that there were more options for sorting, but it works.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think one of the things that, like, I mean, notice, the one thing that kind of keeps me from reading some of the notes that I collect, that I see, is that when you complete a quest, I'm not quite sure, like, how to tell, like, have you already read the note? Like, it'd be kind of nice if it showed you read this note.
Sort them somehow.
Or, it I don't know, it includes it within the quest. Like, if you click on a quest, you can see all notes that are related to that quest. Just, things like that where it's like, you can kind of work around and, like, look for it. And the same thing, like in Dark Souls, like, if you don't know you can read all the items or read what's on a ring, but then again, you do know if you go to that ring, you can read it right there. So I guess
that's what you should be doing in Dark Souls. Is you should be on the pause menu while the game runs in the background, and you should be reading stuff.
But I have realized, and tell me if I'm correct. When you go to the little Witcher boards, the little things to get contracts and stuff, the bigger ones that say contracts, that's like an official quest. Yes. Are the other ones just notes you can just collect for the heck of it?
Yeah, some of them are just people talking about whatever, just to flesh the world out. And then some of them kind of hint that there might be a quest available if you talk to certain people. They're not
some
a specific
just hint to treasure too, like just stuff you can find. Yeah,
see, like I want to collect those, but I'm also like, crap. Is this going to be a quest or not? So I almost kind of wish it added something to your inventory other than like, I mean, I like the idea of like, let me look back and see if I can, figure it out like a secret quest. But the fact that I'm like collecting a lot of them now, like it's like my inventory is pretty full with all these notes and I'm not sure what to do with them. And now like I don't know which one goes to which quest or anything. So, but I think it's pretty good. Do you guys want to, I was going to move on to just movement and a couple just,
sure, go ahead.
Small negatives like I mean if I were to review this game and rank it, I mean I honestly would give this a 10 out of 10. Like just overall it's just an absolute broad massive game that it doesn't feel overwhelming in the sense that you don't know what to do, and that's how Witcher 1 and 2 kind of made me feel sometimes. I'm like, what am I doing? What quest did I do the right potion? This one is really easy to kind of follow along. The game just has so many amazing things. All the weapons are awesome and everything. I think the biggest complaint that I'm like, I wish they nailed it. It's like watching the Olympics and they do the most amazing flips and they nail it and their foot just kind of moves just a little bit and you're like, oh, so close to just perfect. would just be a little bit of the movement. It feels a little bit like you're driving a tank sometime, where I think after playing Bloodborne, of just the controls are so smooth, and even with, you know, when you'd whip a sword and you could change attacks mid attack, that was just so awesome that it's like, I want that in Witcher 3, because it's like having those moves would be amazing. And the other thing is just the combat is awesome. I really, really enjoying the combat. Like, it's not that only I'm just getting used to it. I'm enjoying the game, and I'm enjoying the story. And I like being Geralt playing the game. Oh, I like being Geralt. No, but like
Joel likes being inside of Geralt.
I'm in his mind. He's in my mind. No, no, but the attacks kind of bug me a little bit, and the reason only from going from Dark Souls just one, I don't need it to be fast like Bloodborne, as fast, or as, you know, hopping around and stuff like that, because it's a different type of game, and it's, you know, it's very quick chess moves and stuff. But I wish I had a little bit more control over what attacks I was going to do. In Dark Souls, when you'd move the joystick forward and you click, you know, you'd press attack, you'd do a stab. If you just stood there and hit, you'd do a regular attack. If you hold another button, you'd do a strong attack. You know, if you did a jump, you could do a jump attack. Like, I wish he had a few more things where, like, I've tested it out. I'd love to do a video to show you guys exactly what I mean. But if you stand still and attack someone, you don't know if you press the X button or the attack button, if it's going to be a full flip or if it's going to be just a swing hit. It is honestly completely random right now. And I wish I had more control over knowing if I'm going to do the little flip around hit or if I'm going to do the quick attack. The game tries to, like, if you're like 5 feet relative in the game from the character, he'll do a kind of a slight jump flip to hit him, like to be within range. And it's cool, but I wish I could control that, because I think, to me, I would feel more like I'm in control of just the fighting. And I feel like that, if they could smooth out that a little bit and add the ability to just kind of turn around on the spot a little bit easier than having to, like, I feel like you have to back up, like turn around like a car sometimes. It's not horrible. It's not going to break the game, but it does take a little getting used to, because it just feels a little, I guess, I don't know, a little lumpy from going from some other games and stuff. But that's it. I mean, that is the only little things that I would love to have patched. And I honestly could see them patching that. I really could. I could see them going, you know what? Here, we've tightened up the controls a little bit. It goes from Daisy when it came out as standalone. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? When it first came out, how, like, the movie just felt a little like just bad. And I mean, well, now Daisy doesn't even work anymore, but when it was working, like, the controls are a little bit tighter, and that'd be cool if they saw that. So they fixed it. But
cool.
Do you guys have any small negatives?
I'll agree with the controls for sure. Something just feels off. I think if they like double the speed of the transitions, because they want to have a transition. If you're on mouse and keyboard and you go from looking right to moving left, they want to, like, swing you around. But I think the animation is just too long right now. And by the time that he's turned around visually, you're, like, already wanting to move forward now, and then he's doing that, and it's just speed all that up a bit and make it a bit more responsive. As far as the combat goes, I get the want for control over the animations, and I think that I could get into that as well. But for me personally, it's not really an issue. I get the kind of just Hollywood feeling of it. It works for me, but I can see how it could be improved. One thing about the combat, though, that really has impressed me, coming from the previous games and the books, is that kind of like how the side quest, they made the work of a Witcher into the side quest. The combat is the work of a Witcher. You read the bestiary and you learn the weaknesses of the monsters you're going to fight. You prepare potions, you prepare oils for your sword, and in combat, you're using bombs, potions, oils, your silver sword for monsters, steel for humans, and you're using all your signs. Like, I'm using more signs than ever compared to previous games. Like, in previous games, I would rank up Igni or whatnot and just focus on that. But here, I'm using all of them. So the combat is not only, like, really fluid, and it actually does feel really cinematic too, but it feels legitimate to the world and to Geralt's character. Like, it really does fit how it's described in the books and previous games.
I haven't played the game in about a week, if I'm being honest. I'm very much looking forward to playing it again, but
especially now, right?
The biggest, not till tomorrow night, man. The next 24 hours. But one thing I would say, I think, is a definite fail on usability. And I probably will try to remap some buttons if they let you remap buttons on the controller. in the options menu at some point. The button for run, talk to someone, and ignite torch should not be the same button. There's so many times where I'm trying to run away from a merchant and I start talking to them, or I light the torch right next to them, or I'm trying to light a torch and I run away, or I talk to somebody. It's like it's like Assassin's Creed where there's just the do all the stuff button. You hold this button down and you can run over buildings and jump over things and slide under stuff. And it's just like, yep, that's this one button. It's the movement button. That's it.
Yeah.
And I wish they would bind I can think of so many other ways I could do this.
Well, I mean, they easily could have done the Bloodborne way, where when you lock onto an enemy and you press the B button or you press the roll or something, it does the kind of hop, the dodge, right? But if you unlock it, you start doing the rolling. You could hold the button, you could do all sorts of things. I think the roll button could still be run. You could just hold the button and run that way, or tap it to roll. I think there's a lot of different ways. I think, and that's the one thing for me that kind of bothers me on a lot of PC games is that it's like, hey, we have a giant keyboard. We can have every key there. I'm like, well, that's great that you have all the keys, but it doesn't mean it's nice. It's like, okay, for switching weapons, you can have one or two. But I'm like, well, why not just use one button? If you're swapping back and forth between one weapon, you don't need to choose what weapon it is. It's always going to be the next weapon. Mm-hmm. So there's some things where it's like, you need to make it a little bit easier. You don't need to use all 15 buttons just because you have it.
And I think, again, it's going to take me a long time to play this game all the way through, and I want to reserve any final judgments for when I'm done with it, but I have a strong suspicion this is going to be in my top 5 games of all time, probably for years. But I'm getting that strong impression now. I want to play this more than I've wanted to play games. The last game, I think, where I couldn't function because I wanted to play it so much would be Mass Effect 2, where my roommate Chris, previous Casual Shenanigans host, we were both at it. We were in college, and we had a talk a day and a half after it came out. We were like, look, can we just agree we're not going to get any schoolwork done until we're done with this? Instead of pretending that we're all right, Joel, instead of pretending that we're actually getting stuff done, we're really just messing around till we can play Mass Effect 2 guilt-free. Let's just forget school, play this strong for 2-3 days, beat the game, and then we'll start doing stuff again. And I can't do that with The Witcher. One guy was posting online where he's hit 130 hours of game time already, which, do the math. I hope he's a college student who just got out for the summer or something.
Wait, that's not sleeping either. That's
someone did the math. That was 5 or 6 hours of sleep a night and then not doing anything else. So I hope some of that is the game was just idling while he was going to get food or something.
Wow.
But that's unhealthy for sure.
Joel was kind of giving me a hard time because I took a day off from work last week for the launch day, and I'm still this week, this Thursday, over a week later, only at 38 hours, even taking a whole day off for it. And I think I was trying to explain to him what had happened. The game is so stunning that by midday on launch day, I wanted to slow down. I was finding other stuff to do, let's go get some chores done and stuff, because I don't want to rush through it. The game is so close to perfection and just so incredible, every feature, that I'm honestly, a week later, I'm still stunned at how everything just paid off. All the delays, all the hype, all the planning, they pulled it off. And I want to take my time and go through it as slowly as possible. But at the same time, already, like you said, Jeremiah, this is already top 5, bar none. Definitely. And you're still in the honeymoon period just after launch, but this may be one of the best games that I've ever played in my entire life. And I am beyond impressed. And I kind of had the feeling with those review scores breaking a week early that it was going to be something like that. But like I said, I'm still stunned at how accurate the reviews are. It's not hype. It's reality. This game is something special.
Yep.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, David. Just taking time. It's one of those games where each little quest seems so good. I'll get a new quest, and I'll kind of be itching to I want to try and see what it is,
Yeah.
But I'm no, just take your time. It'll be there when you get to it. You know what I mean? Just finish this quest, enjoy this one that you're already enjoying. And so it's one of those games where I'm I'm sorry, guys, if there's not going to be a lot of other games I'm going to want to play for a little while, because I want to make sure I really enjoy this game before something else really comes out. It's like one of those, I'm no, I kind of don't hope another good game comes out to conflict with it. But I'm pretty good with juggling 2 different good games, to play at the same time. I have one game I'm going to enjoy, and then I can come back and play Witcher. I am loving on the PS4 with the boot up mode, just it kind of puts in the save state, whatever. It's really cool. Tap a button, you're back in really fast. I'm oh yeah, I'm playing. Like, you don't have to reload the game or anything. I'm really enjoying that because I can jump in, play 15 minutes, a little bit of the quest, get a little bit further, and then I'm done again.
That's nice.
So,
That's nice.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm enjoying that. So, but I meant to add this in there. Last thing, Gwent.
Yeah.
And the reason why I mention this is this is the first in-game game that I've ever actually really enjoyed. I always wanted to play the one in Fallout. I think there was even one in Oblivion or something like that. I remember. But
there was, yeah.
Was there one in Skyrim too? Something in Skyrim?
I don't remember Skyrim if it did. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of mini games and lots of tons of games and everything, but they've always kind of bored me because you click on it and then the tutorial's like this wall of text. You're like, oh crap, what do I do? How am I going to remember this? You know, Gwent. Don't be afraid to give it a shot. Like if you're the kind of person like, oh, this seems really like I don't know nerdy or it's like it'd be really tedious. You jump into the game really quick, and even like before I even understood what I was doing, I like started figuring it out just on my own just because you're playing it right away. You're playing it and then it teaches you. And that's much better than going, let's teach you all the rules first, then try to play it, you know? So I'm surprised. I wouldn't say I'm addicted like Dave is on the game.
I'm addicted,
but as I go to towns, I see some person, I'm actually now looking for some of the cards because I want to have upgraded cards. And I might have downloaded the mod on Tabletop Simulator that me and Dave are going to play.
Wait, there's a Gwent for Tabletop Simulator?
Yeah, I downloaded it.
I should get that so you guys can teach me how to play it.
Oh yeah, that sounds like fun. Let's do it.
So
the thing about Gwent that surprised me, like you said, Joel, in all the Fallout games and all, I never got into any of just the gambling in Fallout New Vegas. Like it's just not really interested me. I wanted to play the game. Witcher 2, I got into dice poker a little bit. I played maybe 3 or 4 hours total of that over like a 75-hour playthrough of The Witcher 2. And that was like over the course of the entire game, like spread out. I play like new people and different places and stuff like that. But in The Witcher 3, there are, I think I found now 4 Gwent-specific side quest lines that have multiple stages. I've done probably 3 hours of Gwent side quest and played another 3 hours of Gwent just on my own. My decks are pretty legit, yeah.
I'm gonna ask you like where I can find more cards.
If you ever don't say a phrase ever again, make it that one.
My decks are pretty legit, bro. And you're cut away from the podcast.
My feed just cuts off.
That's you didn't make it on an episode.
The game, like Joel said, like you just kind of dive in and you expect to lose the first few rounds, but you pick up how it works really quickly, and you're like, okay, this is pretty simple. And then you start seeing the AI play some of like the weather and the modifier cards, and you can get destroyed a couple times where you're like, oh, that was an unfair comeback. And then the first time that you like play a frost card and you wipe out the entire front row that the AI had put all their good cards into, and like you win out of nowhere, and you can get some serious gold from this too.
Yeah, this does sound nerdy. This sounds real nerdy.
I've earned probably 700 crowns just from playing Gwent alone.
Gosh.
Because I've gotten confident enough now, when I play someone the first time, I'll bet like 5, and I'll get a look at their deck, and then the next time I'll go like 20 for the bet for the next time, if I'm pretty confident. The game is really good, and everyone's clamoring for a standalone edition. I'm not sure how you balance a PvP version of it, because it is a little pay to win. But the game it's the best minigame I've ever played.
Pay to win, like you
buy cards from innkeeps. You have to find rare cards.
Real world money. Not real world money.
Right.
Oh, okay, all right.
So
yeah. Well, I'd say that's Witcher 3. So okay, everyone give a review. So Jeremiah, you have to review it 10 out of 10?
No, but I can't do that yet, man. I haven't played enough.
Okay.
I haven't played enough. But
so early impressions review? Early impressions
10 out of
review.
10.
Okay. Dave?
So at the 38-hour mark, as an entire complete compilation of just all the stuff we talked about, 9.9 out of 10. Like the imperfections are so small that once I start playing the game, like within 2 minutes, I've forgotten about how clunky the movement is right now. And I see someone floating. Like I have had a couple of the people like the float in the air. Like I'll see that. Like dude, I don't even notice it. Like
I just go, you know what? They're a wizard. It's a fantasy RPG. I'm sure they're just a sorcerer.
They're probably gonna get burned at the stake then.
And you probably will be the person who does it. I honestly, I give it, I would say 9.9. It's just like that little tiny hair of like, if they could tweak that, it would be so freaking amazing.
But a 10 doesn't mean it's a perfect game. It means it's a masterful, like, it's a masterful game. It's not that 10 games have nothing wrong with them.
10 for me means, I'd say it's for me, 10 is every single element of the game is just so well handcrafted.
You've never played a 10 game then?
No. I mean, Half-Life 2, I would say is an absolute 10. I mean, like, you play the game, the physics, every weapon is just, it was done so well. So I'm saying this is, it's so close because it has little rough edges, but to me, it's like, everything else overwhelms you that it's like, I'm not worrying about that. I don't care about the little tiny things that it's just more of the just because I could see the potential in it. You know, when you go, just from coming from Dark Souls, I'm like, dude, if they could have a little bit more tactical, moves in it, it would just be, holy crap, this is amazing, for combat. But everything else is just overwhelmingly good. So yeah, well, that's Witcher 3. So, apparently we all really hate it.
And we'll be talking about this for the next couple of years. Those expansions coming out this fall. Will we have let's take bets now, guys. Will we have all completed, let's say 75% of the game, including side quests, by the time that the first expansion drops in September? 75%.
I don't think I will be at that.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I would say about 50%. I don't know. I mean, if I get some time, I might, but there's a lot in the game.
For me,
so far it doesn't have a lot of really annoying fetch quest things where like some games you just have like
it doesn't have any fetch quests.
Yeah, collect the little medallion from every country and every little area. I'm like, those are the kind of things I'm like, oh, I'll do that maybe last, but it's gonna be
I'm gonna say for September for me, 75% is a good possibility. Probably not 90% though. Man, that makes me happy.
But it is time for the news, and we're gonna go through the news pretty quick this week.
Yeah,
because we're
Are there things happening outside of The Witcher?
I added a few things. I can go through them really quick.
A couple very quick things.
Yeah.
Project Cars was supposed to be coming for the Wii U. Now it's probably not coming for the Wii U. Slightly Mad Studios director Ian Bell has said that they're currently only getting 23 FPS on the Wii U, which is too low for a racing game. Which I don't know why anyone's surprised. I honestly didn't know this game was coming out for the Wii U. I never would have picked it to come out on the Wii U. The Wii U is slow. It's a little bit faster than a PS3. They were kind of hoping that maybe Nintendo's going to announce a new console at E3. There was rumors of that, but Nintendo has said no, that's not happening. But
it'll be
unfortunately, yeah. He said they might be able to reach 30 FPS on the Wii U, but it would take a crap load of work. And they don't want to put all the work into it because it would take them a very long time, and Nintendo might announce something new before they get done. So it's probably not going to happen.
Because I'm like, it's
but how
embarrassing.
How many people only have a Wii U and they want to play a super hardcore racing sim? Like, I don't think it needs to be on the Wii U.
No, definitely not. It's more of, I think it's just embarrassing that it's like no one can get their game to run on it. It's one thing. Like, Nintendo really, like, they better for the next system. Just bite the bullet. Make it beefed up. You know what I mean? Like, it's got to be able to run some of those games. Like, they're having a hard time.
Not really. I don't think they really even want that to be their market.
Nintendo is losing. They're doing very, very, very bad.
They've been losing for a decade. They just had a brief couple years where the Wii did great.
I'll reiterate something that James and we talked about. I think a way that Nintendo could really come back is if they offered some sort of Netflix type deal, but you could play every Nintendo game, like NES, Super NES, N64, and it's cheap. Like, you could buy a game for 99 cents or $2, like something cheap. Not like, hey, play Legend of Zelda, $15 for an NES game. Like, okay, I'll just get it online from emulator. But, like, I don't know, they make it very hard to do anything. So I think if they ever have a chance to come back, they need to go. I mean, I think it was the GameCube or N64 that was a very good challenger at the time for graphics. Like, that was like the last time they really had good graphics for comparatively to the rest of them. Yeah. It was GameCube too. Yeah, GameCube was very good.
Because Resident Evil 4 on GameCube was one of the best looking games of that generation at the time. Like, the GameCube did really well.
So I don't know. I hope they come back, but it's sad. Next little thing I was going to just say, Oculus Rift specs have just kind of come out.
For what you need to use an Oculus Rift.
Yeah. They said they're speccing about $1,000 computer to be able to use the Oculus Rift. So they think I'm guessing that the Oculus Rift is going to be about $250 to $300 for the Oculus Rift. That's be my guess. But seeing that is pretty expensive. And like, if you already have your rig and you're good to go, if you got what I have it, you're good to go. I mean, when I had it, it is very demanding. Like, in any of the games that are like simple, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a PS4 game, easy, But a lot of any of the other higher end games, like, it was insane. I'd put it on low, and it's really chugging along because you have to be playing. I mean, that's only at 60 FPS. The Oculus Rift that I had only did 60 FPS. The PS4 is supposed to be doing a 60 to 120, does this like weird thing. But here's the thing. I mean, like, from reading the articles and stuff, because it is a closed system, they know exactly what they're working with.
I know, so Joel, but there's just a matter of you need the power, and the PS4 doesn't have the power.
Here's the problem, though. Games do not need to be gorgeous looking on VR to be amazing. I agree with you. They don't at all. So that's why I'm saying I think PS4 is going to do very well, because you don't need to have games that are Witcher quality to be absolutely gorgeous.
I don't think it's going to do very well, not because they probably don't have a good idea, but because Sony has a very lousy track record with adding stuff like this. Like the PlayStation Eye, better than the Xbox option, but they didn't really support it. PlayStation Move, better than the Wii U, like more accurate than the Wii U thing, or the Wii controller, but they didn't really use it. The Vita, not really supported or pushed that much. The Vita, not really supported or pushed at all. Like Remote Play, not really used much. Like
I think
Sony has
Morpheus
lots of cool
will
stuff,
actually
but
be something that's going to be used. That if Morpheus picks up, Oculus Rift will do well. I don't think Oculus Rift is not going to do well unless Morpheus does well. I really don't think it will.
I doubt they're just going to do anything. Because of the
user experience, simply because of user experience. It is one of the most frustrating things. If you have any annoyances with just getting any kind of games to run on PC, like if you have flukes, VR makes it that much worse.
But you don't know what the user experience is going to be. You can't judge the user experience of your pre-release beta version of the headset.
Developer version.
But I'm also taking into account facts of just how do you use a computer, how it works. And the thing is, PS4 will have a dedicated hardware system control stuff. Like they all have the same control units. On PC, you're going to have a plethora of them. So having a game go, it supports the Tri-Axis 6. This one supports the wiggle motion thing 4. Like which game supports this? I think if anyone does well, it's Morpheus is going to do well, and that's going to really do well for Oculus, because price points can be cheaper overall. And it's also like
you're speculating a lot, though. We don't know hard data about any of this.
I'm a betting person. I'm going to bet that it's going to do better.
You're an optimist. You're an optimist. Yeah.
Because they are setting out to make the experience for everyone too. So I haven't heard anything about that for Oculus Rift, and that's what I'm worried about. That they're not worried about anyone else experiencing that with them.
The advantage of Oculus Rift is that it can be modded into pretty much any game to support it if the developer doesn't support it. And on PlayStation games, the developers will have to support it or it will not be used, and they'll have to support it out of the box, which is we've seen with Kinect and with the 6-axis motion control and every kind of gimmicky feature that's come out in the past decade. A couple developers support it, and then it gradually trickles off because it doesn't add much to the experience. So unless Sony is planning on bankrolling like the first 10 games to make this happen, which they have enough studios.
They started a new studio. Did you know that?
Theoretically possible that they could do it.
They started a VR studio.
Yeah, but one studio is not enough. Like they need all of their upcoming first-party games to fully support it. They already talked about
Oculus Rift games actually coming to PS4, so they already are working with them to bring those games to it. So
Sony talks a big game a lot of the time, and they normally make a good product, but they don't follow through a year or two later. So if they do a really awesome job with it, maybe, but I feel confident no matter how demanding the Oculus Rift is, people will, they're doing it now, people will be able to mod games to use it, even if it's a game that doesn't officially support it. And my strong suspicion, based on their track record, is that Sony's going to support it a lot for like 6 months to a year. And then if other third-party developers don't jump on board, they're just going to kind of trickle off, and
obviously,
it's going to crash.
But the same thing with Oculus. If it doesn't get, like, mods are not going to sell Oculus. I'm sorry, but that's not going to sell the game. Just having a half decent mod on a game is not going to sell it.
It's been selling it for years.
It's very small. It's not selling millions.
I know, but I'm saying it's not going to sell it. You can't buy millions and millions of them. But the people who are buying them now are buying them specifically for modded versions of games that support it.
There's maybe 5 games that are decent at Oculus Rift that are like amazing. I tried like countless demos, countless games. Like there's really no games that's built ground up that are just phenomenal for it.
No, built ground up, Joel. It isn't released yet. No one's building for it for the ground up. Right now,
there's a lot of games that are built up ground.
The Oculus isn't released. You can't say it's not built for the ground up. They can't build it for the ground up for an unreleased piece of hardware and release the game that already supports something that hasn't come out yet. Like that has to be patched. The hardware is not
changing that much. You do know that. Like it's not going to change much. It's
changed quite a bit over its development. They might get it pretty locked down now, but it's changed a lot so far.
The hardware that's coming out is going to be adding 3D audio, things like that, and better screen. It's not changing up all the tracking. It's going to change up
not
maybe
the
a different
tracking,
way
but
of tracking,
it's a far
but it's still going
cry.
to be the same thing.
It is a far cry from the early models that came out, and it's much more demanding and is much better than the early models. So
I mean, the second one, yeah, but it's been out for a year and a half now. The second model.
Right.
So I'm just saying it's not going to be that much different from what it is. So
Maybe.
I think the biggest difference is if they have an OS store, like an Oculus Rift store. I think that needs to be be made.
It would
like
help,
something
yeah.
that's like official. But we'll see. My vote's on Morpheus doing well. If it picks up, I think it's definitely going to be supported. If it doesn't sell, then obviously they're not going to support it. But I think it will be, because I think they're going to come up with some kind of social activities and things like that are going to be interesting. But
Oh boy, social plugins! I love those in my games.
No, I don't mean like that, but I mean like if we all had them, we could just be sitting around a virtual campfire chatting. Like if they made it super easy to do that.
Just the words like social plugins, like interactivity, like oh no.
Here's something you're gonna love then. Last thing in news, Assassin's Creed Syndicate, they're nixing the companion app. Remember Unity had
the one that no one used, they're
They have my
finally
attention
putting
now.
a bullet in its head.
People are so stupid. They're like, let's add an app and then add in-game DLC and this DLC and this DLC. I'm like, thank God, Witcher, I'm glad you don't have any of that crap. Like, Bloodborne didn't have any of that crap. And guess what? It's sold, guys. It's sold.
Do we know how well Bloodborne sold?
Yeah,
Over
we do.
a million
I looked
sales,
I looked
right?
over a while ago. Yeah, it's up there. It's done really well. But it's like, hey.
Well, I mean, what is up there and it's done really well so far mean?
Over a million sales is last I heard.
That's not
For
that
a new
great.
IP on a new platform, over a million sales in a month and a half.
It passed 1 million mark in April 14th, 2015.
Okay, so maybe it's getting close to 2 million. I don't know. No, that's not good enough to be considered a hit by modern standards. That's probably the best-selling Souls game, but for like the biggest game that's come out on the PS4 in a while, that's an exclusive, that's not great.
Speaking of pre-orders, sales actually, I meant to mention this last week because The Witcher 3, they had those reviews out a week early. Did you guys hear about the pre-order numbers, like up to launch day, a week after the reviews started dropping?
No, I didn't hear.
They passed over 1.5 million pre-orders because the reviews came out early. At least that's my opinion. They were at like just under 1 million. Then the reviews dropped, and it went to 1.5 million by the time that launch day hit. So I'm pretty sure that those early reviews really did push that over the line for sure.
Cool. It is now mail time.
Mail time!
You can write into the show, casualshenanigans@gmail.com, to be a part of the show, just like Justin from Australia. Well, hello there, podcast gaming crew and listeners. Listening to your previous podcast, and you began a quick discussion about Razer items and their current lack of quality. I currently use a Razer Death Adder and have found it to be great for 2 to 3 years now, no problems at all. But wear and tear is becoming a factor and it's time to move on. Yeah, Justin, that's what we're talking about. It worked great for like 2 or 3 years. That's not very long for a good mouse. Like, it should work longer than that.
Especially for what you pay for it.
I just stopped using an IBM keyboard that's at least 20 years old. It's an old IBM mechanical, and it's great. And it finally started having, like, actually issues with the cord, not with the keyboard itself. But anyway, here's where I need your help. I currently use the Death Adder, the Razer Death Adder, the left-handed edition. I'm left-handed. The obvious problem is now plain to see. Being like James in his old age and Germ with his excessive largeness, I'm somewhat discriminated against, and my choices are almost non-existent. Here's where you guys come in. Recommendations on where to look for a decent left-handed mouse would be great, being that you made me a touch nervous about another Razer product. Your experience should make you nervous about another Razer product. 2 to 3 years sucks.
Yeah.
However, I did have a great run with the Death Adder, so are there other options, or am I going with another of the exact same mouse? And any devs or peripheral makers out there listening, left-handed and disabled folks like me exist, and we need products. So develop some and don't make games that lock the numpad like Skyrim, because that's what the WASD keys are for some of us. Thanks, peeps. Hope you get around to reading and replying. Justin. Justin, yeah. Well, if you really like your Death Adder, you could always try to find a used one on eBay or get a cheap deal on one and just plan on using it for a couple years till it breaks. Like, if you're really comfortable with the mouse, there's something to be said for that. Like, I bought a couple used Microsoft Sidewinders on eBay because I wanted to be prepared, like, in case they broke because it fit my hand so well. But just to give you an idea, like, my Microsoft Sidewinder, I bought used in 2009, so I don't know how old it was then, and I got rid of it late last year. It finally started having a couple problems with the optical sensor. I think it had just gotten so gunked up and dirty, and I couldn't really take it apart to clean it well enough, so it was just time to get another mouse. But like, it was like 6 years, and that's what you should expect out of a mouse. I'd say 5 years plus out of a good quality mouse. If you're going to spend that much money, 2 years is not good enough. I mean, that's you're spending the same money as you spend on a controller for a console, and those are expected to last the life of the console. So, N64 joysticks aside. But I think you need to expect it to last longer than that. I would not recommend a left-handed mouse, because there aren't many, as you know. I would recommend an ambidextrous gaming mouse. Instead of being curved a little bit towards your hand, they're a little straighter, and they have any special buttons on both sides. So there are two options I have for you. There is a Razer one. I forget what it's called. You can easily look it up, but it's their ambidextrous gaming mouse. But SteelSeries, very good gaming mouse company, and they make the SteelSeries Sensei Raw. The raw part's important. Yeah, the raw is the ambidextrous one. It's $60, although that's the official price right now. It's $47 on Amazon. It's a little bit of a smaller mouse, so I don't know if you use a claw grip or a palm grip. So it may or may not work for you, but they have a rubberized version, glossy version. They have different options. It's very light, so I don't know if that's going to be an issue for you, but you should check it out. The SteelSeries Sensei Raw. And then this one, the names can be a little bit harder. If you like the bigger size of your Death Adder, the Mionix AVR 7000 or any of the Mionix AVRs, that's MIONIX, so maybe Mionix, and then AVR AVIOR. So that's MIONIX AVIOR. Those are ambidextrous, and they have some of them are like 9 buttons on them. Like they have a ton of buttons, ton of options, and those are going to be a little more expensive. They're probably going to be like $70. And then I think there might be a Mad Catz Rat 3 or Rat 5 or Rat 7 that's left-handed, but don't quote me on that. But I'd definitely check out the SteelSeries Sensei Raw because that's like your base model good ambidextrous mouse. But there's nothing wrong with getting another Death Adder if you just want to roll the chance on it. I mean, that's
I do vote against it just in general, but
yeah,
if it really works well.
But if you can find a deal on one for like $30 or something, it may not be a terrible idea.
Go.
But yeah, I probably wouldn't get one. Next bit of mail is from Nate. He says, "Hey guys, I'm building my first PC and joining the PC Master Race. The problem is that I've played with a controller on console my whole life, and I was wondering what's a good game to start getting adjusted to gaming with a mouse and keyboard. I plan on playing first-person shooter games like BF4 and Counter-Strike Global Offensive. Thanks and keep up the great work. Go Seal Slappers."
I feel like that's a hockey team name.
What do you guys think? What's a good game to start getting into using a mouse if you're not used to one?
Wait, getting used to a mouse, not a controller.
He's been using a controller his whole life.
I was thinking he's going to. Okay. I'd probably maybe start with a third-person game, actually, honestly. Like, start with something like Tomb Raider, like, that had really good mouse control, actually. But then you also had to aim and shoot a few times in it. So I think you would naturally just get used to it a little bit, and then maybe go into a different game, as well. But,
Shadows of Mordor.
Like, something like Half-Life 2 would not jump right into that, or Counter-Strike, because it is so fast-paced that, I think you might have a hard time getting the hang of it, and you might just lose so much that you just will not enjoy it and think you're
don't
really
play
bad
multiplayer.
at it, you know what I mean? You'll think you're really, really bad at it, and that you're just not good at controlling. But you might be good at controlling, but it's just a fast-paced game. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say
definitely
Tomb Raider
don't what?
Kingdoms of Amalur.
There it is. Yeah, definitely don't start with multiplayer, whatever you do.
But yeah, and you can just plug a controller in if you want to get used to playing on the PC and then start moving over little bit by little bit. That's also a totally fine option. Like, you can just plug a controller in and use it for most games. And then our last bit of mail is from someone else. I'm not going to read that one on the podcast. Oh, wait, no, I accidentally closed one out. Hold on one second. I have to...
It's probably Ben's question.
No.
We just delete them right away.
I don't think Ben sent one in.
Oh, look, you added another $1. Yay. Delete.
Oh, yeah, here
no
it is.
voice
Okay.
for you.
So Samuel wrote in and said, "Hello, I stumbled across your podcast and found your potato masher to be very impressive. Thanks. I know you might get a bunch of questions every week, so I will be short. I built my own PC 3 years ago, but I'm still new to the whole PC world, so I'd like to know, when is it a good time to upgrade? I have a Radeon HD 7870 with 2 gigabytes of VRAM, and it's been very good to me, but I fear I won't be able to run some of the higher, newer games I'm wanting to get, like Witcher 3 and Arkham Knight. Not an ultra, but near high and at 60 FPS and for a cheap price. And if I upgrade, what do you recommend? Thanks for your time and for the potato masher, Samuel." So that's a little bit of a complicated question because the 7870 is still a decent graphics card. The answer should always be, when do I need to upgrade? When your current stuff doesn't do what you want or need it to do. Like, you don't have to upgrade for any particular reason. And Dave, your video dropped for a second. I think you're back. But you don't need to upgrade unless something isn't working anymore, like unless it won't play what you want it to do. The 7870 is probably starting to feel a little bit dated, but it's still a pretty decent card, and you can probably play both of those games at 60 FPS on like medium settings. So, and they probably look great at medium settings. So I would get those games, try them out. They will definitely run on that card. Whether or not they run amazingly well, you'll have to find out. But if you want to upgrade, my next question is how much money do you want to spend and what resolution are you playing at? Like the best 60 FPS 1080p card right now is a GTX 970 or an R9 290. But if you're only going to spend $150, I'd say don't upgrade. You're not going to get anything better. If you can spend $200, R9 280 would be a great card. But yeah, if you want to write back into us, that's fine. Just let us know like what is your budget and can your power supply support a bigger card, something like that. But as of right now, I would say get those games, try them out. They will run and just see how well they run. And if you need to upgrade, upgrade. But that's still a pretty decent card. When you hear about us talking on the podcast about how we upgrade all the time, keep in mind, we're all adults with jobs now, and we didn't used to upgrade our computers like this. Like
No, not at all.
We do have the benefit of a little bit of more disposable income than teenagers, do. I'm not assuming you're a teenager, Samuel, but like part of the reason I upgrade my computer is because I can and I like doing it. It's fun, and I enjoy trying stuff out. So I don't upgrade when I need to. I upgrade when I want to. Most of the time.
Not to mention that we all use our computers professionally.
Yeah, and I also use my computer professionally, so it's doing more than just playing games for me. But
yeah, a lot more.
Also, something important for you guys: you don't necessarily just straight buy new video cards, set the other video cards on the shelf. You guys are selling off your old ones, putting an extra $150 towards whatever it is, and buying the next one. So.
I buy stuff on a regular basis, but I flip the old stuff, and I usually don't I don't pay that much money. It costs me a couple $100 a year to stay on the absolute cutting edge.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts.
That's not that bad considering it's all can be written off on taxes too. So
it only cost me $1,500 to stay on the edge on MacBooks.
The edge of what? The edge of MacBooks, nothing else. Did you see someone installed Windows 10 technical preview on the new MacBook, the super thin one, and he said it's so much faster than OS X. Like, because Windows 10 is supposed to run really well on lightweight hardware like the Surface tablets and stuff, and he said it's like significantly faster than OS X. I thought that was pretty cool because it's not even out yet.
I'm waiting for OS X to kind of get a lightweight version. I think OS X 10 was a very light install that I remember. I think it was 10. Might have been Leopard or something like that. But I'm excited for one that's just like very small again. But
it'll basically be iOS.
Yeah, it's just going to be like touching icons again.
All right. That's our mail. Write in casualshenanigans@gmail.com. As we wrap the podcast down, it's time for 90 Seconds with Joel. Part of the podcast where we turn Joel loose and let him just tell you guys a story about weird, inappropriate things, or about making out with his wife in his dreams, or getting scared about stuff, or his weird body problems. It's like a little 5-minute long variety show. So, Joel, what do you got for us this week?
My gears.
What's in the barrel this week?
Oh, let's see. Shake. Guacamelee. If you have a PS4, this month's free games. Actually, did you just miss it? Because... Oh, no. Sorry, I think I got an email for the next month's
The May
ones.
games, the June games are coming out soon.
So, only 2 more days. Get Guacamelee. It's free on PS4. It's a co-op game. It's 4 players.
It comes with your PlayStation Plus subscription that you pay for.
Okay, $45 for a whole year to get about maybe 75 games. That's not bad.
Yeah, but compared to how many of those can you get in the Humble Bundles?
Okay, so 75 games for $45?
I mean, with the Humble Bundle, you could do 75 games for 5 cents if you wanted to. It's pay what you want.
Not all of them.
I don't know, Joel.
To get the full collection, you have to pay sometimes $10.
Yes, it's a ton of games, but that's assuming you're going to like all or most of them. And to really take advantage of it, you have to own a Vita, a PS3, and a PS4. Yeah. It's cool, and I've played games that I never would have bought ordinarily, but I never feel like, oh man, what an amazing deal this is. I'll feel like, well, that's cool, I guess. Also, it's worth mentioning,
that was pretty good.
They've stopped putting out demos for lots of games. I feel like the PlayStation Plus games have kind of taken the place of the new demos they would release every month for upcoming games, because games don't get demos anymore. Yeah. And that's not PlayStation.
I think it's just across the board. Fault. I don't know, just demos are just not popular. I think because demos
the games aren't ready.
They're not ready, and they can quickly just go, hey, this game is not that great. I don't want to buy it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just, it's like, why give people a chance to do that before just let them buy it first? Same way I'm not giving a demo of Norman. Okay, anyways, get Guacamelee. It's a very fun game if you have a wife, girlfriend, and they just like, it's really simple controls, but it's just fun.
Well, that was kind of sexist and condescending.
I was just saying,
if you have like a female with like little hands and she's not real smart about like playing games and stuff, she could play this probably.
Well, either way, if you have a little boyfriend, just a little dude, little guy that likes to play,
or you like playing games.
Anyways, it's a good game for
guys.
co-op.
We don't know
it's
where he gets
hard.
this. His wife plays Dark Souls 2. Like I don't know where he's getting this weird stuff from.
Yeah,
and this is the same guy. This is the same guy talking about how he plays on his couch now because it's just more convenient and there's less of work and he just gets to sit with his wife and he's like, yeah, but like if you're kind of a wimp and and you can't like play things well, Guacamelee.
I hate you. Okay, the second part is
just don't be a sexist. That's all I'm saying.
You can't tell me what to do.
I can't. I'm bigger than you. That's how the pecking order works.
Oh, actually, you could reach your arms all the way over here, like crash through my windows. No,
Joel, behave.
It's like the poltergeist tree coming through the window. No.
As I'll be pulling you away, you'll be thinking, maybe this will be fun. Who knows? Take me away, big giant. Yeah, you're one of those guys who likes the Ent sequence in the two towers, right? Are you the guy who actually enjoys the Ents? Or was I arguing with someone else?
Well, I mean, I enjoy it a little bit, but yeah, I mean, after seeing a couple times, I
was talking with someone else who thought that the Ents were the best part of the Two Towers, and the Two Towers was the best Lord of the Rings movie. No idea what's wrong with them. Anyway.
Okay, last part is wheeling and dealing with Dave. So
I gotta get my props.
So as everyone knows, or they should know from I think the last podcast or the podcast beforehand, Dave and we swapped video cards, and so he's testing out the two 970s. As I've kind of been shifting away with some PC stuff and just more focusing on my console heaven. And anyways, so Dave, go ahead and run down the costs and just talk about get him up to speed for what our dealing has been going on.
Well, first of all, because Joel is a consumerist whore, he paid full price for one of these cards. I was letting Jeremiah and now Joel try these out and see how the 970 actually did at like 1440p and 4K for SLI to see how the actual experience was. And my plan was, if I went from my 980 back to a 970 and then a second one for SLI, I wanted to, of course, get them on sale. And there was a sale yesterday for 970s for $299. It came with free shipping. MSI, just standard MSI. Custom cooler though, not an amazing one, but just a nice one. $299 with free shipping, free 3-day shipping, and 2 games each. So after selling the game codes, that would bring the price down quite a bit. And I can still get roughly about $480 to $490 for my 980. Lots of numbers flying here on eBay. And I was looking, if I were to get a deal like that one on the 970s, I could actually once again make money back on a graphics card upgrade if I flipped it right now. So here's the boat that I'm in though, is that Joel, once again, being the consumerist whore that he is, you're so reliable, Joel, so dependable.
It's slowly waning away because I'm weaning myself off the
PC gaming teat.
yeah.
You're just not. You don't do it right, Joel. So the problem is, I can make roughly between say $15 and $35 making money for upgrading my cards, but I would also lose about $10 or $15 in eBay fees. So I would lose that. So now I'm only making $15 to $25.
I would also bit of time trying to sell them.
I will lose time, although I've been shipping so much stuff recently I sold Edgar's cards on eBay. Like, I have my shipping stuff is like ready to go, all the tape and the packing material, so that's not a huge deal for me. Just a matter of time, and I can definitely go ahead and buy the cards and then sell my old one. That's not a big deal. I can cover that cost. So it comes down to a matter of convenience. I can either make or at least break even on waiting for a sale. In the next, there's a sale every week on 970s. I've been watching for a week now. There was one yesterday. It took a week. I was looking, Joel, what were we talking about for the price for your cards?
$312 and $350.
So the price difference for the value of my 980, if we swapped it, would be about $125. for me to buy your cards from you at what you paid for them. However, Joel, how many game codes do you have left out of your 4?
0.
0, so I don't get any game codes whatsoever.
Oh.
I don't need them.
I told Dave he would get the gratifying feeling of knowing that the money's going to go directly to the composer for Norman. Trying to pull on the heartstrings just a little bit.
I already kickstarted it. You already have my money.
Yeah, Joel, you know me, right? we're wheeling and dealing here. I don't care about your heartstrings. You can take your heartstrings and shove it.
It's like that Omarion song. I got an ice box where my heart used to be.
Then how about we do this? You said you were going to buy me tacos. How about you pay me the $60 for The Witcher 3
Joel is
on
a
the PS4?
cheap date.
And you buy me tacos. But
$60?
No, not just tacos, fajitas or whatever. So it's a slightly more.
Ooh,
so it's about $7 to $9 worth.
You want the $7 lunch?
A sweet tea too. A sweet tea, and Ben will donate another 50 cents to the Patreon.
Man, still, Joel, you are a bit of a cheap date. All right, so you
Yeah, you act like you're really pushing it hard, like, and I want a sweet tea and fajitas. Is like, oh yes, sir,
okay,
right away.
So now we're at $60, right? We're at $60.
Can you give me a pack of Seagrams?
And we have 2 more small things here. Now for Joel to give you credit, you don't need a 980. You like the 980, but you don't need it. And they are a bit expensive. I don't think they're a great value. You'd be buying it used, though. So you got that going for you.
But I wouldn't mind having a card that's a little future-proof. Because, I mean, I might play... I mean, if you guys are going to play Battlefront, I do want to play with you guys.
Yes, we're going to keep playing on the PC, Joel.
I know that. I might get that. That might be a game I get on it because I do want to play with you guys on that game. Because I miss playing Battlefield 3 with you guys. Mm-hmm. So I do.
That was good times. And then
I wouldn't want to be like, crap, I can barely play it. You know what I mean? I wouldn't mind playing it fairly decent.
Also, saving $50 on a 980 by buying it used, it makes it more reasonable. Still too expensive, but more reasonable. And then my only other complaint is that somehow you're claiming, Joel, you bought these cards from the same retailer, Newegg, right? I still want you to get me your order numbers. So I'm pretty sure that you ordered 2 different SKUs because these are 2 different cards.
The G1 and the regular. The problem is they have 3 identical looking Windforce cooler cards.
Yeah, they're all called Windforce in the title.
No, that would happen. I told Dave I would have known differently. Let's say if I got an MSI and a Gigabyte one, right? I would have known if it was a 970 Ti or 970A or something like that. But I never would have known that it was like, oh, here's a slight refresh. I guess it's almost like how like the PS3 or whatever, they'll get like a PS3 Mini or something. What does that say?
GTX 970, right? MSI 970 G1 Gaming. You bought 2 different SKUs.
But they will SLI together, unlike mine.
They do.
Like, they're basically the same board with a different BIOS, kind of. Well, not different BIOS,
so
but like...
The number I got was... The first one I got the first time was a Gigabyte GV N970 WF30C, whatever. And the other one's a N970 G1. Yeah.
G1. So the second card is actually the best
they
one.
They look the same to me.
So this is a much better card. It has a backplate, an annoying LED glowing logo. But the nice thing about the G1, and this is actually where I am glad you bought this one, Joel. MSI bins these, which means they actually go through and they come off the assembly line and they check them for overclocking capability. So the G1s actually have more headroom for overclocking and are better at it. The downside for SLI is that I am limited to the overclocking potential of the weaker card, which is the first one that you bought. An annoyance, but I can see how that would be confusing. But what's our final offer? Where are we at now?
Okay,
it was
$60.
Okay,
a date with tacos with you, sweet tea, and 4 Seagrams. And
4 Seagrams.
And 1 cent from Ben on Patreon bump.
1 cent from Ben. So Ben's kind of like the witness, like he puts the penny in to sign the paper. All right, Joel, it's a nerdy taco date.
Now, and I wanted to add on to that.
Yeah.
So I have a new case. I've got my Fractal Design R5, which has better airflow. And it's got more noise padding so I can run my fans a bit higher because my cards my Zotacs are smaller, fewer fans, and they are about 1/8 of an inch apart because my PCI slots are so close together. Heat has been an issue. And Dave, this might be relevant information for you. So earlier this week, I ordered a Prolimatech Ultra Sleek Vortex 14. It is a
Sweet mercy.
140 millimeter fan that has the mounting holes of an 120 millimeter fan. And it has like 15 blades. It runs at only 1,000 RPMs at full blast and moves 98 CFM, cubic feet per minute.
Nice. Very nice.
I put this thing in on the side of my case, blowing in right at the cards. Not exhausting, blowing in. So I have 4 intake fans now. 1 tiny exhaust fan I could probably just get rid of at this point because I've got so much positive pressure. It dropped my idle temperature on my top card from about 61 to 48. And
that's a huge drop.
And I was even down to 46 for a brief time. Now that it's been like I'm live streaming, I'm recording 2 different things. Like there's stuff going on my computer. It's up to about 55 now. So it came up a little bit, but under full blast, it never got any higher than 85. And I bumped my overclock back up. I'm at 204 megahertz on each core. So my cards are maxing out at like 1470 on the core.
Nice, very nice.
Completely stable, never goes above the 80s, and because it doesn't, the fans don't really spin that fast. Like the card fans actually do less work than this one fan does on the outside. So Dave, if you need to blow, like if you need to get some extra air going across those cards, it's a decently quiet fan, and it is a 4-pin, so you can hook it up and manage the speed dynamically if you want. I just have it running full blast. But I would say like the fan's like $20, I think. But it's definitely worth it. This has been the single best cooling thing I could have done to it. I'm thinking about getting another one to go in the back of the case and just like, it's going to be like a typhoon of air coming out the back.
That efficiency.
Exactly. So, I just want to let everyone else know if you need a really awesome fan, the Prolema Tech. It's expensive for a fan. It's definitely a high-end case fan, but the cooling is pretty nuts, and I would definitely recommend it. So with that super exciting news, once again, we'll plug episode 100 coming up in a couple weeks.
Yep,
June 18th. June 18th.
Get on early. There's going to be prizes and stuff like that. It's going to be really, really fun. I think
we
it's
start on
hilarious.
Time.
Yeah, and people that listen to the podcast only on like iTunes or something later, search us up on Twitch at Germ Gaming and go ahead and just subscribe there. I mean, you can always unsubscribe after if you don't always want to watch, but just subscribe so you know when it will send an email out when the link goes live. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So I definitely urge you guys to jump in.
And for anyone who doesn't know, we're live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Twitch, and you can find the archives of the podcast on iTunes and on Evil Viking 13 and Germ Gaming's YouTube channels. So we appreciate you guys. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for watching. Thank you to everyone who's going to listen later. And we appreciate you guys a lot. And you're right, Shane, this is bunching up on our possibly longest podcast. It started late, but we're only at like 2 hours and 15 minutes. But it was all about The Witcher 3
deserves
it. I started the counter when we actually started the podcast officially. It's at 2:21.
Oh, all right.
But okay, last thing, guys, please write in your emails if you bought the Nebula. I want to get the list down for everyone that I should be sending out the CSG Custom Edition DLC pack for the Nebula game. So definitely, please write that in because I don't want to forget about that because that would suck. But it would save me money, so maybe forget. Just kidding. Thank you, Ben, for all your cash and for that 1 cent that I know will be coming.
Ben, this whole deal depends on you, man. It's all you.
But
thanks for listening to us rant.
Yep. Thank you, everybody. Dave, take us out.
So you guys go buy The Witcher 3, and we'll see you all next year. In the meantime, stay casual.